Chapter 518. This is bad. The earth essence behind the ancient demon bull had disappeared, not even a single piece was left. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. Yu Qingqing and Geodemonic Flame also couldn't believe it. The two of them were late-stage spirit-detecting realm experts and could be considered peak existences in the lost place. However, neither of them knew how the earth essence had disappeared. Although they hadn't been paying attention, it was impossible for someone to pass by them. This is bad. I'm afraid we've given our efforts to someone else. Geodemonic Flame's expression was very ugly. During the battle just now, the ancient demon bull had become a bit irritable. Originally, they thought it was because of the frequent attacks, but now it seemed that the ancient demon bull had already noticed something and was just being held back by them. But who was it that was able to steal the earth essence from us? Yu Qingqing's expression was cold. She didn't believe that someone could be so powerful. Although the two of them were confused and angry, they didn't delay because the ancient demon bull had already gone completely berserk. Waves of terrifying demonic aura filled the sky and forced everyone back. In an instant, the space became abnormally violent. If the ancient demon bull went berserk, no one would be able to stop it. As the ancient demon bull went berserk, the entire area fell into panic. However, it seemed to be concerned about the cave behind it and didn't chase after them. The people from the Divine Bird Palace and the Moon-reaching Pavilion retreated to a safe area with fearful expressions. The battle just now had caused many people to be injured. Even Yu Qingqing and Geodemonic Flame had consumed a lot of energy. However, their efforts had gone to someone else's benefit. Damn it, who was it? If I find out, I won't let them off. Geodemonic Flame's expression was ferocious as the purple flames on his body jumped. He was indeed angry. As the third-ranked genius of the Divine Bird Palace, no one had ever dared to play with him, let alone steal a treasure from his hands. But now, the earth essence he had set his eyes on had disappeared right under his nose. The most infuriating thing was that he didn't even know who had stolen it. Yu Qingqing was also depressed. She had originally wanted to use the earth essence to improve her body and improve her cultivation. However, after fighting for so long, she hadn't even seen a speck of it. The others were also shocked and began to discuss it. Zhao Ziki looked at Lin Xian, and her heart was in turmoil. She didn't need to think to know that it was this guy's doing. She was becoming more and more curious about Lin Xian's identity. What kind of person was able to quietly snatch a heavenly treasure from the hands of two six-star sects? Lin Xian's face was expressionless, but his heart was bursting with joy. The essence of the earth was enough for him to complete a transformation. Moreover, throughout the entire process he did not expend a single bit of energy. He had effortlessly put away this heavenly treasure that would make anyone's eyes red with envy. Moreover, no one had noticed. This feeling was simply too great. Yu Qingqing scanned the crowd. When she saw Lin Xian, she was stunned for a moment. She frowned slightly. Seeing Lin Xian's neat clothes, she felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Feeling Yu Qingqing's gaze, Lin Xian was on high alert, but he still appeared very calm. At this moment, another shocking aura came from the depths of the palace. That aura was like a flood, like a vast ocean rolling over, making one's heart tremble. So terrifying. What kind of aura is that? Everyone was shocked and stood up one after another. Yu Qingqing and Geodemonic Flame also looked solemn as they looked into the distance. Lin Xian was even more shocked. He felt that a sword intent was awakening. Let's go and take a look. Many people moved and Lin Xian followed behind. Now that he had obtained the treasure, he did not want to mingle with the crowd. In front of them, the aura was getting stronger and stronger, as if it was going to envelop the entire palace. At the same time, a shocking sword intent rushed up and fought against the monstrous aura. Yi Lin Yun. Feeling the sword intent, Yu Qingqing and Geodemonic Flame's expressions changed at the same time. Then the two of them turned into flowing light and quickly left. The others were also shocked and sped up. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lin Xian and Zhao Ziki quietly left the group. No one noticed this process. Wuji Lin Xian brought Zhao Ziki to a corner. A snow-white monkey jumped out with a small worn-out bowl on its head. Inside the bowl was the sparkling and translucent earth essence. Lin Xian was overjoyed and gave some to the snow-white monkey. Then he put away the majority of the earth essence. Zhao Ziki was shocked. Although she had already guessed it, seeing Lin Xian obtain all of the earth essence with her own eyes was still very shocking. Now was not a good time to consume it, so Lin Xian decided to consume it after leaving the palace. Then he and Zhao Ziki took action. The two of them changed their appearance and aura again. This time they did not deliberately disguise themselves as anyone. Lin Xian's appearance was somewhat cold this time. His sharp face was full of determination. Taking a deep breath, the two of them ran toward the aura fluctuation. This aura was too strong, attracting the attention of all the martial artists in the entire palace. For a time, all the martial artists who came in all ran in that direction. Lin Xian brought Zhao Ziki and quickly arrived at the source of the aura. Many martial artists gathered in front. Among them, Yu Qingqing, Geodemonic Flame, and the rest were all there. At the forefront there was a white figure. He was dressed in white and carried an ancient sword on his back. It was deity sword Villa's Yi Lin Yun. At this moment he was completely different from his previous calm and indifferent self. He was like a peerless divine sword that was incomparably sharp. A terrifying sword essence permeated the air, causing his surroundings to become extremely dangerous. Everywhere was filled with sword essence. Great success sword essence. Lin Xian exclaimed. He saw a great success sword essence again. Moreover, this sword essence was far more skillful than Zhou Jianying's. It must have been in the great success realm for a long time. In front of them, there was an exquisite pagoda that was emitting light like an immortal treasure. Rays of light hung down. They were crystal clear and made it look extremely mysterious. Everyone was excited. Everyone knew that there must be an incredible treasure inside. However, no one dared to go forward because Yi Linyun was in front. However, Yi Linyun had no intention of making a move. He just stood there cautiously. Finally, someone could not take it anymore. A thin and tall youth ran out. He turned into a bolt of lightning and flashed past quickly. However, when he was about 10 feet away from the sharp pagoda, there was a fluctuation at the entrance. It was like a sword wave that rushed over fiercely. That person was hit and spat out blood as he retreated. As expected, it was not so easy to enter. Of course, there were also people who did not believe it. They tried one after another, but they were all injured and flew back. Yu Qingqing frowned. She looked at the scene in front of her, and the doubt in her heart grew. Suddenly, her heart trembled as she finally understood. She knew what she had overlooked. Oh no, we've been tricked. Yu Qingqing suddenly turned her head. Her gaze was like lightning as she swept her gaze behind her. This gaze carried the pressure of a late-stage spirit-detecting realm cultivator, causing many people to tremble. Senior Sister Yu, what's wrong? The disciples of the moon-embracing pavilion were puzzled. Chapter 519. The disciples of the moon pavilion were terrified. They didn't know what could make Yu Qingqing so shocked. Yu Qingqing's eyes were like lightning as she scanned the surroundings with a terrifying pressure. Then she frowned even more because she couldn't find the person she was looking for. Senior Sister Yu, who are you looking for? A disciple asked. Where are the two martial artists from the Golden Light sect? Did any of you see them? Hearing this, the surrounding disciples were stunned. They looked around and found that the two disciples from the Golden Light sect were indeed gone. I don't know. Maybe there's something else. Everyone guessed that not everyone was willing to come to such a dangerous place. Send someone to find those two. We must find them. Senior Sister, what's wrong? Why are you looking for those two? The disciples of the Moon Pavilion were even more confused. I suspect that those two are related to the disappearance of the Earth Essence. What? That's impossible. Everyone was shocked. Those two are only in the spirit transformation realm. How could they steal the Earth Essence? Spirit transformation realm? Yu Qingqing's voice was cold. Did you notice anything different about them? Different. Many people were silent and tried to recall, but they couldn't remember what was different. I observed them before, especially that man. His clothes were too neat. Neat? You still don't understand? In the battle with the ancient demonic bull, none of you were injured. You were all covered in scars. But the two spirit transformation realm martial artists were unharmed. Even their clothes weren't damaged at all. Isn't that obvious? Hearing this, everyone was shocked and suddenly realized something. That's right. Even people as strong as them were injured by the sound waves and demonic aura. However, the two spirit transformation realm martial artists were unharmed. What did this mean? The two of them must have hidden their strength. Thinking of this, everyone felt a lingering fear. There were such hidden peerless experts beside them. The Golden Light sect is so bold to arrange such experts beside us. Do you think it's the Golden Light sect? With their methods, they definitely aren't from the Golden Light sect. The two of them might have left the palace by now. Then what should we do? Send some people to search. The others stay here and wait for the opportunity. Yu Qingqing sighed. She did not have high hopes of finding those two. After all, no matter who obtained a heaven-defying treasure like the quintessence of the earth, they would definitely hide and attempt to break through. Lin Xian stood in the crowd and laughed in his heart. It was a little too late for these people to react now. However, the fact that the woman was able to tell whether he was faking it or not from the neatness of his clothes was beyond his expectations. However, Yu Qingqing's final judgment was wrong. Lin Xian did not leave. Instead, he returned to their side. This time Lin Xian wasn't with Zhao Ziki but acted alone. This time there would probably be a huge battle. If he brought Zhao Ziki with him, it would definitely be very troublesome. Moreover, he wasn't worried about Zhao Ziki betraying him because as long as he willed it, he could activate the Black Dragon Flames. Currently, there was no one in the Lost Lands who could dispel the Black Dragon Flames. In front of him, the Linglong Pagoda shone brightly, sending down thousands of rays of multicolored light. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, waves of fluctuations came from the exquisite pagoda. It was like the sound of war drums with an inexplicable rhythm. The fluctuations were small at first but they quickly expanded. Finally, the entire space trembled with the rhythm. Everyone's hearts trembled and their faces turned pale. They felt that the rhythm seemed to have a magical power. It was as if a pair of large feet were stepping on their hearts, causing their hearts to beat with the rhythm. Some of the weaker ones spat out blood and were sent flying. The surrounding martial artists retreated in fear. Only a small portion of them could withstand it. Most of them were from 6-star sects, but there were a few top martial artists from 5-star sections. They resisted the inexplicable fluctuations with all their might. Among them Yi Linyun stood at the front. He activated his greater success sword essence, and terrifying sword chi swept out in all directions. Once the sword essence appeared, the clouds moved, and the sharp sword chi slashed everything in front of him. Then he walked toward the exquisite pagoda with a long sword in his hand. Yu Qingqing and Geodemonic Flame were not willing to be left behind. The moon behind Yu Qingqing was hazy as she stood in the sky, emitting rays of light. The hazy moonlight blocked the mysterious rhythm outside her body. Purple flames danced around Geodemonic Flame like a sea of purple flames, burning everything. The three of them slowly walked toward the exquisite pagoda. Other than them, the others also used their own methods to move forward. Among them, a cold-looking man was the strongest. He walked as if he was taking a stroll and quickly walked toward the exquisite pagoda. His speed was even faster than Yi Linyun's group. Who is that person? He's so terrifying that he can resist that terrifying rhythm? I've never seen him before, but why do I feel that he's more relaxed than Yi Linyun's group? No way, when did such a peerless expert appear in the Lost Lands? Yu Qingqing looked back at the cold-looking young man and frowned. She shouted, "Stop him." Ever since she suffered a loss, she was extremely sensitive to unfamiliar experts. Now was a special time, so she decisively ordered people to attack. Go back. A moon-embracing pagoda disciple attacked. That person's cultivation was at the middle stage of the spirit-detecting realm and could be said to be very powerful. The cold-looking young man was naturally Lin Xian. When he saw the moon-embracing pagoda disciple attack, a cold smile appeared on his face. He punched out, and the terrifying force caused the surrounding air to condense again. Boom! The moon-embracing pagoda disciple's bright moon palm shattered and turned into specks of light. Then his body was also sent flying by the violent force. What? He was sent flying with one punch. Everyone was shocked and their jaws dropped. That's a martial artist at the middle stage of the spirit-detecting realm, but he was defeated with one punch. Is that man a martial artist at the late stage of the spirit-detecting realm? Thinking of this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Xian was very satisfied that he had shocked everyone with one punch. However, he knew that under normal circumstances he would not be able to send his opponent flying with one punch. But now it was different. The terrifying fluctuations from the exquisite pagoda had a strong suppressive effect on martial artists. That martial artist at the middle stage of the spirit-detecting realm could only use half of his strength. But he was different. He had the devouring sword that could absorb the terrifying fluctuations around him. His strength was not affected at all, so he could send his opponent flying with one punch. Those people did not know this, so they were shocked when they saw this scene. You guys go too. Geodemonic Flame also said. He did not want to have another competitor. Suddenly, two disciples of the Divine Bird Palace walked out, their bodies filled with killing intent. One of them shot out purple flames, and the purple flames condensed into a flame bird that was dozens of feet long, circling around him. Chapter 520. The two huge beasts were dozens of feet tall, completely condensed from spiritual power. They exuded a terrifying aura like real ancient monsters. Die, kid. The two of them grinned and quickly rushed over. The purple flame divine bird shook, forming a huge claw and quickly attacked Lin Xian. In an instant the void was shattered, and the purple flame jumped and burned in all directions. Next to it, the huge thunder beast also roared and rushed over with the endless thunder sea. The two of them joined forces and their momentum was terrifying. Lin Xian snorted and his aura rose quickly. His whole person became extremely fierce, exuding a terrifying aura. Streaks of golden lightning circled around his body. Countless golden lightning halos trembled, making him look like the god of thunder. With one step the whole space trembled. His hands danced and thunder halos danced in the sky, forming thunder and lightning blades that pierced through the void. The terrifying power of thunder and lightning roared, and suddenly shattered the surrounding area. The golden thunder and lightning were extremely violent, far more violent than the thunder and lightning of the Divine Bird Palace disciples. In an instant, the thunder beast formed by the thunder sea trembled and its roar stopped. Seeing this, everyone was shocked, and the Divine Bird Palace disciples were even more shocked. The thunder and lightning they used came from the three-headed crimson blood bird, and the thunder and lightning passed down was extremely violent. It was not something that ordinary thunder and lightning could resist. However, the golden thunder and lightning released by the cold-looking man in front of them was too strange, and it was able to suppress their thunder and lightning attribute. This had never happened before. Who is that? Why does he have such a terrifying thunder and lightning power? I don't know, but we must capture this person, or he will be a great enemy of our Divine Bird Palace. The thunder beast formed by the thunder sea was stunned, but the divine bird formed by the purple flame still rushed over. It stretched out its claws, tore through the void, and instantly arrived in front of Lin Xian. Destroy. Lin Xian sneered and waved his arms. Golden thunder and lightning jumped, intertwining to form a golden thunder blade, exuding a violent aura. With one strike, the whole space seemed to be split open and endless waves of air surged. The purple divine bird bore the brunt of the attack, and its claws were shattered under the golden thunder blade, and then its whole body was split in half. The purple flames were scattered all over the ground, and the violent energy shockwaves were still raging in the air. Lin Xian withdrew his attack and stood with his hands clasped behind his back, looking around disdainfully. The surroundings were silent. Everyone looked ahead in fear, not daring to speak. It was too powerful. The disciples of Divine Bird Palace made a strong move, but the other side countered it with an even stronger method, which shocked everyone. Those sharp eyes, the violent lightning, and the imposing manner of looking down on everything were deeply imprinted in everyone's hearts. This person was definitely a terrifying existence. Perhaps only Yi Linyun and the others could defeat him. After defeating the two disciples of the Divine Bird Palace, Lin Xian once again walked towards the Linglong Pavilion. Geodemonic Flame's face was gloomy. He stared coldly at Lin Xian, wanting to pierce through him. Boy, how dare you hurt a disciple of my Divine Bird Palace? No one in this world can save you. His voice was filled with murderous intent as purple flames danced on his body. You were the ones who provoked me first. If I didn't retaliate, would I have been forced to take a beating? Are you crazy? Lin Xian sneered. Could it be that only your Divine Bird Palace is allowed to attack, and I am not allowed to fight back? You're courting death, how dare you speak to senior brother Jiu like that? Kowtow and apologize or no one can save you. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace angrily shouted. Boy, no matter what you say, you must die today. No one can reward a disciple of my Divine Bird Palace. The purple flames on Geodemonic Flame's body were monstrous, like a demon god. Is that so? Lin Xian sneered, it seems like you're really used to being arrogant. Don't think that everyone in the world will let you go. Boy, you're too arrogant. Die for me. Geodemonic Flame's body released a dazzling light that burned like a divine flame. He stretched out his hand, and the purple flames danced, forming a giant claw that covered the sky. Geodemonic Flame was worthy of being a late-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist. His strength was extremely powerful, and even though his cultivation was suppressed by the Linglong Pavilion, his violent power was not something a mid-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist could compare to. In an instant, the purple flames clawed at Lin Xian, and the flames danced as if they wanted to burn him to ashes. I thought it was someone powerful, but it turns out it's only SOSO. That's right, obediently let yourself be burned to ashes. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace sneered. Lin Xian's expression was indifferent. The golden lightning patterns on his body flashed, forming a ring of lightning that constantly vibrated and pushed back the purple demonic claw. Then Lin Xian punched out, directly hitting the purple demonic claw and sending it flying. The power of this punch was terrifying, and it caused the entire space to tremble. The shockwave of energy swept out in all directions, causing everyone to retreat in shock. What? He got rid of it? This is impossible. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace screamed like crazy. He can actually compete with Geodemonic Flame? Everyone was stunned. Geodemonic Flame's face was gloomy. In order to resist the fluctuations of the Linglong Pavilion, he could only use half of his strength. Even so, a mid-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist would not be able to resist. However, the other party had blocked it. Who is this person? He doesn't seem to be affected. Geodemonic Flame was shocked. Lin Xian was also shocked. The power of a late-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist was beyond his imagination. Fortunately, he was not affected and could use his full strength, which was why he could compete with Geodemonic Flame. However, this was already his limit. He could not compete with a late-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist. After all, he was only at the late stage of the spirit transformation realm, which was several realms lower than a late-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist. If this news were to spread, it would definitely shock everyone. After all, even in the Jianghu domain, there was no such powerful spirit transformation realm martial artist. After his attack failed, Geodemonic Flame's face turned gloomy. He coldly snorted and attacked again. Purple flames danced in the sky, forming a purple divine spear that emitted a shocking killing intent. Immortal Spear. Geodemonic Flame waved his purple divine spear with all his strength, leaving behind afterimages as it flew through the void. Wherever it passed, the air in the sky exploded. The Immortal Spear was too terrifying. Not only was its killing intent shocking, but it also contained a trace of immortality. This was not something Lin Xian could resist with his physical body. At the critical moment he did not hold back. The dragon sword intent in his body rushed out, and a bright sword light swept through the void and ruthlessly slashed down. The 80% dragon sword intent was extremely terrifying. Its power had already surpassed that of a normal large success sword intent. This sword made the heavens and earth lose their color. The sword light crisscrossed and slashed down on the immortal spear. There was a clang and then the energy ball exploded. The dragon sword intense attack power was unparalleled. Even though the immortal spear contained a trace of immortality, it was still unable to destroy the dragon sword intent. Geodemonic Flame's face darkened when he saw that his immortal spear had been blocked. "Who are you?" he asked sternly. Chapter 521. Although it was not as good as Yi Linyun's sword intent, it was not far off. Yi Linyun and Yu Qingqing were also shocked, especially Yi Linyun, who stared at Lin Xian. The sword intent on his body surged as if it was going to tear the void apart. The two sword intents clashed, and the void trembled as if it was going to split open. Lin Xian's dragon sword intent represented an offensive saint spell, and it was extremely powerful. On the other side, Yi Linyun's sword intent was no ordinary sword intent, and it was even more terrifying with the support of a late-stage spirit-detecting realm cultivator. The two sword intents clashed, and the entire void seemed to be torn apart. Everyone retreated in panic. Seeing that the situation was about to get out of control, the terrifying fluctuation in the Pavilion of Delicacy became even more powerful. At the same time, a blood-red sword chi rushed into the sky, and then an aura that was even more powerful than the sword intent rushed out. It circled in the void and forced the two sword intents back. What sword intent is this? It's so domineering. Lin Xian and Yi Linyun were shocked and quickly retreated. An even more terrifying sword intent rushed out of the Pavilion of Delicacy and knocked Lin Xian and Yi Linyun away. Then the light at the entrance became even brighter, and a strange fragrance wafted out. Everyone's hearts were burning as they stared at the entrance, but no one dared to move. They were waiting for the blood-red sword aura to disappear. The blood-red sword aura in the sky was extremely unstable, and it disappeared in an instant. At this moment everyone moved. Yi Linyun turned into a sword aura and rushed toward the entrance. Yu Qingqing and Jiu Moyan also used their extreme speed. Lin Xian roared and turned into a bolt of lightning, rushing forward quickly. He was not affected by the Pavilion of Delicacy, so he was even faster. In an instant he surpassed Jiu Moyan and Yu Qingqing. This time he attacked first. He unsheathed the Wind Shadow Sword, and a terrifying sword chi slashed toward the two. Yu Qingqing and Jiu Moyan were shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to attack them at this moment. This was a naked provocation. Brat, you're courting death. Jianghu reached out his hand and formed a terrifying demonic claw, leaving countless afterimages in the air. Yu Qingqing formed the bright moon seal and blasted out in all directions. Bright moons rose one after another, staring at the void. Endless light scattered down, carrying with it a terrifying killing intent. A great battle was on the verge of breaking out, and a heavy pressure enveloped the surroundings. Lin Xian used the illusory demonic steps and dodged with extreme speed like a ghost. Every time his sword struck a weak spot, Jianghu and Yu Qingqing were furious. They thought that Lin Xian was going to fight them to the death, but they did not expect that Lin Xian was so fast that he did not fight them at all. He was just moving around. Every time they tried to rush towards the entrance of the light, Lin Xian's sword light would restrain them. And when they wanted to fight Lin Xian would use his speed advantage to pull away. This prevented them from unleashing their full strength. Not only that, the closer they got to the door of light, the stronger the vibration became. They had no choice but to use most of their power to resist it. Very quickly they were shaken off by Lin Xian. After getting rid of Jianghu and Yu Qingqing, Lin Xian waved his long sword again and attacked Yi Linyun. The void trembled and the great success sword intent roared. Yi Linyun suddenly turned around and slashed out a terrifying sword chi. The two swords clashed and the void shattered. Countless sword blades split open and slashed in all directions. Those warriors who wanted to attack immediately retreated in shock, and those who were too slow were instantly blown away by the sword chi. Lin Xian waved the wind shadow sword in his hand. It was like a divine sword slashing through the void, bursting out a bright sword chi. On the other side, Yi Linyun's long sword danced quickly, forming a sword diagram in the air and pressing down from the sky. That sword diagram was extremely terrifying, and it instantly covered all directions. Lin Xian's pupils shrank, and he felt a chill down his spine. Then he quickly retreated and turned into a beam of light. In the next moment, the void where he was standing before quickly cracked open. Countless sword chi pierced out and shattered the space. Lin Xian was shocked. That sword diagram was too mysterious, and it seemed to contain endless power. However, his great dragon sword intent was not for show. The wind shadow sword gently moved in the air. The movement was very slow, as if it was drawing something. Then a deep dragon roar was heard. Then a green dragon rushed out from the sword and rapidly grew in size. Sword Chi Dragon. The green dragon, which was dozens of feet long, was ferocious and terrifying. It filled the entire sky and rushed toward the mysterious sword diagram. The two clashed and terrifying energy surged. The void was in chaos. Yi Linyun's eyes shone with a shocking light. He did not expect Lin Xian to have such a mysterious sword technique. That green dragon was far more powerful than an ordinary transformation. It was as if it really existed and had magical power. Apart from his senior brother, this was the first time he had met a sword opponent. With a long roar, Yi Linyun's black hair fluttered and his white robe danced. He looked like a sword god. Behind him, sword chi intertwined, forming an even larger sword diagram that emitted mysterious energy. Lin Xian also attacked. A green dragon sword chi appeared under his feet, and he roared into the sky. While the two were fighting, geodemonic flame and Yu Qingqing also rushed over. The four demons faced off against each other, exchanging blows as they quickly rushed towards the light gate. To them it was very important to seize the initiative. Whoever could enter the light door first might be able to obtain what was inside. Yu Qingqing's purple robe fluttered, and she was like a fairy descending. A bright moon rose behind her, shaking the void. The moonlight shone down, forming a bridge that extended from under her feet toward the dazzling pavilion. However, when the hazy moonlight approached the dazzling pavilion, it was repelled by an invisible force. Yi Linyun's sword chi was shocking. The sword diagram behind him was hazy and terrifying. He used the long sword in his hand to open the path. Dazzling sword chi slashed forward as he advanced step by step. On the other side, geodemonic flame also used his ultimate technique. Purple flames danced on his body. His entire body was enveloped by purple flames, making him look like a fire god. The sea of flames spread, attacking and blocking the other three at the same time. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered. He stood on a green dragon and held a long sword in his hand. He looked around disdainfully. He was like a sword god descending, moving quickly. The four of them approached and attacked each other at the same time. The terrifying power shook the void as if it was going to tear space apart. Everyone was shocked. They knew Yi Linyun and the other two. They were the peerless geniuses of the top 6-star sections. They were extremely powerful, and even the older generation could not compete with them. However, Lin Xian was actually able to compete with the three prodigies. This was beyond everyone's expectations. What shocked them even more was that Lin Xian's cultivation was not strong. It seemed that he had not reached the spirit-detecting realm. If that was really the case, then it was too terrifying. Who are you? Yu Qingqing frowned slightly. She did not believe that anyone could compete with them, even if their cultivation was suppressed. Could it be that you're the foreign visitor? What? In an instant, everyone was shocked. Geodemonic Flame was even more shocked and angry. He held the inextinguishable flame in his hand and stared coldly at Lin Xian. He had long suspected that if it was someone from the three factions, he would have known about such a mysterious expert. Outsider? To me you are the outsider. Chapter 522. He did not intend to admit it. If he revealed his identity now, the people of the Divine Bird Palace would definitely go crazy. By then he would probably be besieged by everyone. If that happened, it would be really dangerous. He could only fight against the three of them because of the uniqueness of the Pavilion of Delicacy. Once he was surrounded or left the Pavilion of Delicacy, he would lose his advantage. Therefore he did not admit it. Instead he said something inexplicable. He wanted to mislead everyone and lead them to the natives of the Lost Lands. Sure enough, those people were shocked. Are you a native of the Lost Lands? The more they thought about it, the more shocked they were. No wonder he was not restricted by the Pavilion of Delicacy and his combat power was so terrifying. Yi Linyun also frowned. Rumor has it that the natives of the Lost Lands are descendants of God. Now that I've seen it, they are indeed extraordinary. Descendants of God. Everyone was even more shocked. They had never heard of such a secret. Even Lin Xian was shocked. He did not expect the natives of the Lost Lands to have such a powerful background. They were even called descendants of God. Lin Xian and Yi Linyun were fighting in a chaotic battle. Their terrifying strength shocked everyone. The Pavilion of Delicacy shook and emitted rays of light. Rays of light hung down one after another, forming a terrifying scene. Lin Xian and the others were approaching at a fast speed. However, when they were about 10 feet away, they all froze. The surrounding space was distorted and became extremely heavy. Everyone was terrified. They struggled with all their might. It felt as if they had fallen into a quagmire. They were getting slower and slower. Open! Yi Linyun shouted angrily. The long sword in his hand slashed out a terrifying sword light. However, it did not have much effect. Yu Qingqing, Jiaomoyan, and the others also tried, but they did not succeed. The closer they got to the Pavilion of Delicacy, the slower they were. Lin Xian used the Golden Thunder body to resist this force. At the same time, he used his sword will to open a path. The four of them moved forward slowly. Finally, they were about 5 feet away. Lin Xian stepped forward again. However, in the next moment, the Pavilion of Delicacy flashed with sword light. Suddenly, countless blood-red sword lights slashed out. One of them went straight for Lin Xian. The sword light was so exquisite that it seemed to tear the void apart. Its power had surpassed Yi Linyun and the others. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He no longer cared about hiding. He quickly used the Wind Essence and Phantom Demon illusionary steps to dodge. Buzz! The blood-colored sword chi was extremely terrifying as it tore through the void. In the end, he was still struck by the sword light. In an instant, he felt his blood and chi churn, as if his body was about to split apart. At the same time, there was also an extremely heavy blood aura attacking his body. He immediately activated the Sword of Devouring and quickly devoured the sword light. However, Jian Qi was simply too terrifying. Even though he had used Devour, he was still injured. In the next moment he was knocked back and the aura that he had disguised was also broken. In other words, the blood-red sword chi had returned Lin Xian to his original state. What? Everyone was shocked when they saw the drastic change in Lin Xian's aura. The disciples of Divine Bird Palace were even more shocked and angry because they felt a familiar aura from Lin Xian. You're the mysterious swordsman. You're courting death. How dare you come here after killing several of our Divine Bird Palace disciples? You must be tired of living. Stay here obediently. Geodemonic Flame's expression was ferocious. The surrounding Divine Bird Palace disciples drew their swords. Yu Qingqing's face was cold. Behind her, the moon rose and fell, shining in all directions. Lin Xian had not only killed Divine Bird Palace disciples, but also those from the Moon Pavilion. Moreover, she suspected that the disappearance of the Earth Essence had something to do with Lin Xian. There was no way he would let Lin Xian leave. Yu Qingqing and Geodemonic Flame temporarily gave up on the Pavilion of Delicacy. They could not break through for the time being anyway, so they might as well capture Lin Xian. Lin Xian had a great secret on him. He might have a treasure like the earth essence. Anyone would be tempted. In the crowd, Zhao Ziki was horrified. She did not expect Lin Xian to reveal his identity at this time. She panicked and did not know what to do. Lin Xian was also depressed. He did not expect the blood-red weather to be so terrifying that it could even break his disguise. If it was not for the devouring process, he would have been seriously injured. Damn it, if I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have taken that step. Lin Xian was the first person to step within 15 meters, so he received the most damage from the blood-red sword energy. The Pavilion of Delicacy was indeed very mysterious. It was not easy to get close. However, this was not what Lin Xian needed to think about. The only thing he needed to think about was how to escape. He was surrounded by people from the two 6-star sections. He was surrounded by Geodemonic Flame and Yu Qingqing, two late-stage spirit-detecting realm experts. With a serious expression, Lin Xian looked at Yi Linyun. If Yi Linyun also made a move, he would be in even more danger. Fortunately, Yi Linyun had no intention of making a move. He was going all out against the Pavilion of Delicacy. Lin Xian secretly let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the situation had not reached a point where he had to die. However, Geodemonic Flame and Yu Qingqing did not think so. Even Yi Linyun would not be able to contend against the two of them, let alone Lin Xian, who was only at the spirit transformation realm. Brat, surrender obediently and perhaps you'll suffer less. Geodemonic Flame said, otherwise I'll let you taste what it means to wish you were dead. On the side, Yu Qingqing did not speak, but her gaze was locked onto Lin Xian. She did not want others to know that Lin Xian might have obtained the earth essence, but she did not want to let Lin Xian go either. Stop talking nonsense. Use whatever means you have. Lin Xian's body was covered in sword energy. Since you're looking for death, I'll fulfill your wish. Geodemonic Flame sneered and sent out the terrifying purple tear demonic hand. Rays of purple light flashed and formed two giant palms that quickly tore through the void. This was a unique skill of the Divine Bird Palace. It used the inextinguishable flames to form the palms and was extremely powerful. Crack crack. The void shattered as if it was being torn apart. Rays of terrifying energy swept out and rushed toward Lin Xian. Yu Qingqing waved her azurite hand, covering the sky and grabbing downward. She also used her unique skill, the star-picking hand. The two of them formed a fierce attack and did not give Lin Xian a chance to escape. Lin Xian used the wind concept and the illusory demonic steps to dodge quickly. The terrifying energy was vast and the entire space trembled violently. The sky was like boiling water, constantly shaking. Fortunately, the three of them were within 100 feet of the Ling Long Pavilion. Their speed was abnormally slow, which gave Lin Xian a chance. Lin Xian used the wind concept to change the air around him and weaken the Ling Long Pavilion's influence to the greatest extent. He quickly dodged the two attacks and then stopped. He held his sword with both hands and his aura became abnormally fierce. Gale Lightning Sword, Mountain River Break Sword. He also used his unique skill. A giant heavenly sword flew across the sky, emitting a terrifying aura. Then, the giant heavenly sword in the sky fell mercilessly with an aura that could destroy everything. Chapter 523. Yu Qingqing and Jiao Moyan's expressions were serious. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to dodge their attacks in this muddy gravitational field. What shocked them even more was that Lin Xian, a spirit transformation realm martial artist, had mastered such a terrifying martial art. It wasn't any weaker than their martial arts. Moreover, the two of them were affected by the gravitational field and weren't as fast as Lin Xian. However, the two of them were peak experts after all, so they reacted in an instant. Yu Qingqing merged with the bright moon behind her. Like a fairy descending, her body emitted a bright light. She quickly retreated and disappeared from the spot like a ray of light. On the other side, Jiao Moyan's purple flames jumped and condensed into a pair of giant flame wings behind him. With a flap of his wings, he also retreated rapidly. Seeing the two of them retreat, Lin Xian frowned and rushed forward with his sword. He had to end the battle quickly. Otherwise, once he left the gravitational field, he wouldn't be able to fight against two late-stage spirit detection realm martial artists. However, Yu Qingqing and Jiao Moyan were even more terrifying than he had imagined. In an instant, they had already broken through the limit of 10 feet and were rushing toward Lin Xian. Both of them wanted to take down Lin Xian, so they gave up on resisting the Linglong Pagoda. In an instant, Yu Qingqing and Jiao Moyan raised their power to the peak. A bright moon pressed down in all directions. Jiao Moyan's purple flame wings pushed his speed to the extreme as he rushed toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian dodged continuously and also ran into the distance. However, the two attacks in the sky were too fierce. They shook Lin Xian's blood and qi and he was injured in the end. Lin Xian spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered. He stabilized his body and quickly ran away. "Little thief, stay." Jiao Moyan roared and reached out with his giant palm. It covered the sky and shrouded the ground. Lin Xian used the black dragon flame and covered his fist as he punched out. Boom. The black dragon flame and the eternal purple flame collided. A sea of fire soared in the sky and shattered the void. A terrifying heat wave spread out in all directions. "What?" Dove Demonic Flame angrily shouted. At the same time he was greatly shocked. His eternal purple flames were extremely fierce. Even some senior martial artists would find it difficult to contend with them. However, Lin Xian was actually able to resist his undying flame, and even suppress it. What is that black flame? It's so terrifying. He was horrified and increasingly felt that people like Lin Xian could not be allowed to live. On the other side, Yu Qingqing seized the opportunity and quickly attacked. A bright moon slammed into Lin Xian's body and sent him flying. This attack directly knocked Lin Xian out of the range of the Linglong Pavilion. Suddenly, the disciples of the Divine Bird Palace and the Moon-Embracing Pavilion raised their swords and struck out with terrifying attacks. Lin Xian felt as if all the bones in his body were about to break. This attack had indeed caused him to suffer a great loss. If it wasn't for the fact that his golden lightning body was so strong, he would have been sliced apart by now. He knew that he could not stay any longer and had to leave. Otherwise, if he was surrounded by these people, it would be difficult for him to escape. It was still too difficult for him to face a late-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist. Thinking of this, he fully activated his spirit energy and sent out several rays of sword energy. The ordinary disciples of the Divine Bird Palace and the Moon-Embracing Pavilion were immediately sent flying. However, there were also a few mid-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artists that firmly entangled Lin Xian, not allowing him to leave. In an instant, Yu Qingqing and Geodemonic Flame rushed over again. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He used the black dragon flame and formed a flame in front of him, dispersing everyone. Then the wind shadow sword stabbed out, and a thunderfire annihilation quickly surged. Above the terrifying sword energy, the black dragon flame jumped, golden lightning surged, and the great dragon sword intent supported it. The power of this sword was extremely powerful. Yu Qingqing and Geodemonic Flame resisted and were pinned down. They could only watch as Xian Ben flew into the distance. "We can't let him escape. Chase!" The two shouted angrily. In an instant, countless martial artists rushed out and chased after Lin Xian. Geodemonic Flame and Yu Qingqing took the lead. Zhao Ziki was anxious. She didn't know why, but she was actually worried about Lin Xian's safety. She blended into the crowd and followed him. Lin Xian was hit by the bright moon and suffered serious internal injuries, which caused his speed to slow down. In addition, Yu Qingqing and Jiao Mo Yan's continuous attacks made him even more dangerous. At the critical moment, he burned a part of his spiritual power, turned into a ray of light and disappeared at the end of the road. Split up and search. Once there's any news, report it immediately. Immediately, countless martial artists scattered in all directions, searching quickly. Lin Xian temporarily shook off the crowd and went to a corner of the palace to think about what to do next. Yu Qingqing, Jiao Mo Yan, and the others would not let him go so easily. They would definitely search the entire palace for him. If he continued to stay here, it was likely that he would be besieged again. However, he was extremely unwilling to give up the things in the Linglong Pavilion. If he could break through to the spirit-detecting realm, the situation would be different. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He had the essence of the earth on him. If he consumed it, it was only a matter of time before he broke through. However, there was no safe place for him to break through at the moment. Whoosh whoosh. The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard from afar as several auras rushed over. Obviously, someone was searching in this direction. Lin Xian frowned and got up to leave. At this moment, a voice appeared near him. "Follow me." "It's you?" Lin Xian was stunned. He looked at Zhao Ziki with some surprise. Zhao Ziki sprinkled some powder around to eliminate the aura, and then quickly pulled Lin Xian away. "Why did you help me?" Lin Xian was surprised. Normally, if he was in danger, the happiest person would be Zhao Ziki. After all, she had the black dragon seal in her body. However, Lin Xian did not expect that Zhao Ziki would help him escape. "Don't ask. I can't explain it clearly in a short time." Zhao Ziki pulled Lin Xian, her face slightly red. Although the two of them hid their auras, there were too many martial artists looking for Lin Xian. They were eventually discovered. After running and killing, the two of them once again arrived near the ancient demon bull. "Humph, boy, surrender obediently." Jiao Moyan sneered with the disciples of Divine Bird Palace. Yu Qingqing blocked the road with the people of Embracing Moon Pavilion. The road ahead was gone, and behind them was the cave of the ancient demon bull. Could be said that Lin Xian was completely blocked. "Boy, tell me your secret and I may leave you with an intact corpse." Jiao Moyan sneered. "Hand over that thing and I can consider letting you go." On the other side, Yu Qingqing's voice was cold. "What should I do?" Zhao Ziki grabbed Lin Xian with a face full of fear. Lin Xian's face was cold. He drew a pattern on Zhao Ziki's body and took back the black dragon flame in her body. "You're free. Leave quickly," Lin Xian said. He did not want to burden the girl who saved him. Zhao Ziki was stunned. She had wanted to get rid of the black dragon flame in her body countless times. She did not expect it to be in this situation. Moreover, there was a strong sense of loss in her heart. "No, I want to stay here. Maybe I can help you," Zhao Ziki said. "It's better if you hold me hostage. Maybe you can make senior sister you not dare to make a move." Chapter 524. Zhao Ziki nodded. "All right, I'll bring you away." Lin Xian pulled Zhao Ziki and looked around coldly. "You're still far from being able to take yours truly's life. Wash your necks obediently and wait. When yours truly returns, it will be the day of your death." Lin Xian's cold voice reverberated in the air. A dark sword appeared behind him and expanded rapidly. A spinning black hole surrounded Lin Xian and Yu Qingqing. Everyone was shocked by what they saw. Geodemonic Flame and Yu Qingqing's heart skipped a beat as they quickly took action to stop Lin Xian. However, they were still a step too late. The black hole completely swallowed Lin Xian and Yu Qingqing before disappearing. "Ah, damn it." Geodemonic Flame roared in anger after his attack missed. Just a little bit more and he would have been able to capture Lin Xian and obtain his secrets. However, Lin Xian still managed to escape. Yu Qingqing was shocked as well. She did not expect Lin Xian to have such a method of escaping. Junior Brother Ing quickly checked the location of that thief. Geodemonic Flame turned around and said. Behind him, Fearless Eagle nodded and used his senses to check. "How is it? Have you found him?" Geodemonic Flame asked anxiously. Fearless Eagle nodded and revealed a strange expression. "Where is that thief?" Geodemonic Flame asked anxiously. The others also stretched their necks. They also wanted to know where Lin Xian had run off to. Fearless Eagle stretched out his hand and pointed forward. "If I'm not wrong, that person is there." Everyone looked forward with a strange expression on their faces. Even Geodemonic Flame was stunned. "Junior Brother Ing, are you sure you're not wrong? That's the cave of the ancient demon bull." In the dark cave, a black vortex appeared out of nowhere and expanded rapidly. Finally, two figures appeared. "Where are we?" Zhao Ziki grabbed Lin Xian's arm tightly as soon as she landed and looked around nervously. "Don't just stand there, quickly hide our presence." Lin Xian's face was pale and his voice was very weak. Zhao Ziki did not dare to delay. She then set up a formation to conceal their auras. Her actions were quick and almost instantaneous. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief when he sensed that their auras had disappeared. "If I'm not mistaken, this is the cave of the ancient demon bull." "What?" Zhao Ziki almost cried out in surprise. Her beautiful eyes widened as she carefully observed her surroundings. He originally thought that Lin Xian would leave the palace, but he didn't expect to return to such a dangerous place. She then asked in confusion, "Why are we here? Could it be because of that black vortex?" Lin Xian smiled but didn't say anything. Zhao Ziki curled her lips and stopped asking. Then she hugged her knees and sat at the side. Lin Xian also sat down cross-legged. He quickly swallowed the spirit wine and circulated the incantation to regulate his breathing. Not only did he suffer heavy internal injuries, but he had also used up almost all of his soul power to forcefully activate the devouring sword. Therefore he had to recover as soon as possible. Half a day later, he opened his eyes and heaved a sigh of relief. "I'm going to break through. Can you help me look after it?" Lin Xian asked. Seeing that Zhao Ziki agreed, Lin Xian took out a piece of earth essence. "For me?" Zhao Ziki was stunned when she saw Lin Xian's actions. Lin Xian actually wanted to share such an important thing with her. "Are you sure you asked for it in the morning self-study session? You can't regret it. Take it. You saved my life. This is what you deserve." Lin Xian stuffed a piece of earth essence into her hand and then took out another piece to consume. He wanted to strengthen his body as quickly as possible and break through. Lin Xian chose the deepest part of the ancient demon bull cave. Moreover, their auras had already disappeared. As long as the ancient demon bull didn't carefully investigate the cave, it wouldn't be able to find them. Just as Lin Xian began to absorb the earth essence, Geodemonic Flame and the others outside looked gloomy. Junior Martial Brothering, you said that the thief is in the cave? Geodemonic Flame was stunned. He didn't believe that Lin Xian would enter the ancient demon bull's cave. Wuxia was also speechless. He tried to sense Lin Xian's aura again, but he couldn't sense it anymore. Their auras have disappeared, but their last stop is definitely in the cave. Geodemonic Flame's face was gloomy. Then his body flashed and he rushed toward the cave. However, before he even got close, a great void figure quickly rushed out, roaring angrily, shaking heaven and earth. The ancient demon bull held a bronze axe and rushed over, causing the ground to tremble. Geodemonic Flame had no choice but to retreat. When the ancient demon bull saw Geodemonic Flame and the others, its eyes turned red. Then it rushed toward them. Oh no, retreat. Everyone was frightened and retreated. They didn't dare to get close. Senior Martial Brother Jiao, what should we do now? Leave a few disciples here. If you find that kid, send a signal immediately. The rest of you, follow me to the Ling Long Pavilion, Geodemonic Flame said angrily. Soon after, Yu Qingqing made the same decision, and the two of them quickly left. Lin Xian held a piece of earth essence in his hand. Then he activated the longevity chant and began to absorb the energy inside. Streaks of white light surrounded its body, forming a white curtain of light. When Zhao Ziki saw this, she quickly controlled the array to cover all the aura and scene. Outsiders couldn't see what was going on inside, nor could they sense any aura. The white light screen surrounded Lin Xian, and then a stream of life essence flowed into his body. This was the purest life essence without any impurities. The energy entered his body and quickly merged with it, transforming it. Time flew and a day and night passed in the blink of an eye. During this time, the ancient demon bull came in once, and Zhao Ziki was so scared that she almost screamed. Fortunately, the demon bull didn't find anything and left quickly. The light outside Lin Xian's body dissipated and rushed into his body. Then he opened his eyes. He had completely absorbed that piece of earth essence. He could sense the changes in his body. His physique had been greatly improved and his flesh, blood and bones had all been improved. Every inch of his muscles contained powerful strength. Zhao Ziki looked over and was shocked. This was because she saw a faint brilliance flowing on the surface of Lin Xian's body. It was very delicate, like the skin of a baby. She had only seen this situation on a venerable one. She didn't expect Lin Xian's physique to meet this condition. Of course, this didn't mean that Lin Xian's physique could compete with a venerable one's. It meant that his life level was already comparable to a venerable one's. A cultivator's cultivation was to continuously strengthen and break through, allowing the body to enter a higher life level. Although Lin Xian was still in the spirit transformation realm, his life level had already broken through to the Venerable One realm. In other words, from now to the Venerable One realm, he didn't have any bottlenecks in each realm. As long as his cultivation level reached a certain level, he would be able to advance. Chapter 525. Not every prodigy could reach the Venerable Realm. Many prodigies were stuck in this realm and couldn't break through. The Venerable Realm was a huge dividing line that blocked most cultivators from advancing. Once you crossed it, you would become a powerhouse. After learning this news, Zhao Ziki was wild with joy and excitement. She also had a piece of earth essence, which meant that she could also reach the Venerable Realm. Feeling the changes brought to his body by the earth essence, Lin Xian didn't stop and refined it again. One day later, he absorbed another piece of earth essence water. The brilliance on the surface of his body became even brighter, as if mysterious meridians were flowing through his body. However, this time his physique had a substantial breakthrough, and he was still stuck in the Venerable Realm. However, what made him happy was that the pure energy of the earth essence allowed him to directly break through to the early stage of the spirit detecting realm. His strength had increased by leaps and bounds. It seems that taking the earth essence many times doesn't have much effect on improving my physique, Lin Xian thought. He still had 2 pieces of earth essence water. This time he didn't use them again and carefully stored them away. Being able to reach the Venerable Realm and smoothly break through to the early stage of the spirit detecting realm was already a great harvest for him. Now he could already contend with a late-stage spirit detecting realm martial artist. Jianghu, Divine Bird Palace, wash your necks and wait for this young master. Lin Xian clenched his fists. However, he didn't immediately leave. Instead, he turned to Zhao Ziki and said, "You also take the earth essence water. I'll protect you." Zhao Ziki was happy and quickly absorbed the earth essence water. One day later, her life force also reached the venerable realm. Because she was already at the peak of the spirit transformation realm, she smoothly broke through to the spirit detecting realm. Zhao Ziki cheered excitedly like a child. "Okay, it's time to go out." Lin Xian used the devouring sword again. A huge black hole instantly wrapped around the two of them and they disappeared from the cave. Damn, where did that kid go? Yeah, it's been 3 days and we haven't even seen his shadow. Senior brother Ing didn't see wrong, right? That's the cave of the ancient demonic bull. How could a human enter? Who knows? Anyway, we'll just wait here. Several Divine Bird Palace disciples complained. However, they did not know that a black figure was running towards them at high speed. Whoosh. Before a Divine Bird Palace martial artist could react, a bloody hole appeared on his neck. He covered the hole with both hands and the light in his eyes quickly disappeared. With a loud crash, he fell to the ground. The expressions of the other two martial artists changed drastically. They immediately wanted to send out a signal, but the sword light was even faster. An early-stage spirit detecting realm cultivator was cut open, and the mid-stage spirit detecting realm disciple had one of his arms cut off. The signal flare in his hand fell to the ground. He screamed as he turned into a streak of light and retreated in fear. "Brat, you're dead for sure. You still dare to come out now?" That cultivator looked at Lin Xian with a vicious expression. He didn't expect that in just 3 days not only had Lin Xian recovered from his heavy injuries, but he had also turned the tables on him. 2 dead and 1 injured in a single move. The middle-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist didn't think about anything else and quickly retreated. He was running for his life. Besides them, there were other martial artists around, so the news of Lin Xian's appearance spread quickly. However, it wasn't certain whether he could leave or not. "Want to leave?" Lin Shui sneered. He flicked out a wisp of black dragon flame and instantly caught up to that figure. The black flame burned like the flames of hell and instantly enveloped that martial artist. In an instant he was burned to ashes, leaving not even a trace of him behind. The martial artists who were still investigating the situation felt their eyelids twitch, and they quickly left. It was too terrifying. Not only had Lin Xian recovered, but he was even stronger than before. He could actually kill a middle-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist in an instant. Since Lin Xian had decided to make a move, he didn't want to hide anything, so he didn't chase after the surrounding martial artists. His figure flickered, and he quickly ran toward the Ling Long Pavilion. This time he had to get the thing inside the Ling Long Pavilion. Although Zhao Ziqi's cultivation had increased, she wasn't a battle-type martial artist, so she didn't follow. Many martial artists were resting near the Ling Long Pavilion. This included Yi Linyun, Yu Qingqing, and the others. In the past 3 days they had thought of many methods, but they hadn't succeeded in entering the Ling Long Pavilion. Not good, not good. That little thief has appeared again. One by one, the scouts rushed over to report the situation. Suddenly, everyone was shocked. They didn't expect that person to dare to appear again. Where is he? Dove Demon Flame suddenly stood up, and the purple flames on his body jumped. He didn't see the people he sent out come back to report. Damn it, what are those 3 guys doing? They didn't even come to report. The 3 senior brothers have been killed by that little thief, a martial artist from an affiliated sect said. What? Dove Demon Flame was furious. Where is he? Take me there quickly. This time he had to catch him. That little thief was too hateful. He didn't kill anyone else but the disciples of the Divine Bird Palace. It was clear that he wanted to fight the Divine Bird Palace to the death. Such a person had to be eliminated. No need to look, I'm here. A cold shout came. Then a figure rushed over from the distance as fast as lightning. At first it was still far away, but in the blink of an eye, it was in front of everyone. Kit, you're really dead. Dove Demon Flame's expression was ferocious. He gathered his men and sealed off the surroundings. Yu Qingqing also stood up. She was like a fairy, cold and incomparable. This time she wouldn't let him escape. Dove Demon Flame was the most angry, so he didn't hesitate to summon a giant hand that covered the sky. Yu Qingqing held the bright moon seal in her hand. Her eyes flashed as she waited for an opportunity. Last time, she had seized the opportunity to suddenly attack and seriously injure Lin Xian. However, this time Lin Xian didn't dodge. He held the Wind Shadow sword and stabbed it into the sky. Sword chi crisscrossed, and the terrifying sword chi cut into the flaming hand. The two collided and a terrifying energy burst out. The giant hand that covered the sky was split in half in front of everyone's horrified eyes, and then the sword chi disappeared. What? That little thief actually resisted it? Everyone was shocked and couldn't wrap their heads around it. That was an attack from a martial artist at the late stage of the spirit detecting realm. It could definitely kill any martial artist below the late stage of the spirit detecting realm. 3 days ago, that little thief didn't dare to take it head-on and could only rely on his speed to dodge. But now he had broken his opponent's attack with a single sword. Wasn't this change too fast? It had to be known that after entering the 3 realms of the spirit, it was very difficult to advance in each realm. It wasn't something that could be done in 1 or 2 days. It often took 3 to 5 years to break through a small realm, and this was for a genius martial artist. If it was an ordinary martial artist, it would take dozens of years. Chapter 526. Jianghu was even more shocked. He was very clear about his own strength. This time he was not affected by the pavilion of delicacy. This was his true strength. However, his opponent was able to break through his attack. This made him feel unreal. It was obvious that his opponent's strength was on the same level as his. He found it hard to accept. Yu Qingqing frowned. She quickly sensed Lin Xian's cultivation, and her expression changed. The aura of the spirit detecting realm. You've broken through. As soon as she said that, everyone exclaimed. Then they tried their best to sense Lin Xian's cultivation. They all looked as if they had seen a ghost. 3 days ago, Lin Xian was still at the late stage of the spirit transformation realm. Now he had become a spirit detecting realm martial artist. Wasn't his cultivation rising a little too fast? Even a peerless genius would need several years to break through from the late stage of the spirit transformation realm to the spirit detecting realm. This guy must have some heaven-defying treasure to be able to break through in such a short time. For a moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian with burning eyes. I guessed right. You took the earth essence. At this point, Yu Qingqing could no longer hide anything. What? He stole the earth essence. Everyone went crazy. The earth essence was a heaven-defying treasure that could change a martial artist's life level. It was a treasure that even honorable ones would want. No wonder this little thief could break through so quickly. It turned out that he had such a heaven-defying treasure. Even Yi Linyun, who had his eyes closed, abruptly opened them. His gaze was like a sword as he stared at Lin Xian. Do you really have the essence of the earth? His voice trembled slightly. Obviously he was very jealous of the earth essence. Yes, but I ate it. Lin Xian shrugged. Even if you kill me now, you won't get the earth essence. He's lying. Everyone, let's attack together. Jianghu shouted coldly. Yu Qingqing also turned to Yi Linyun and said, let's take him down together and share the earth essence equally. Hearing that, Yi Linyun was a little tempted. He did not completely believe Lin Xian's words. You want to fight? Then come at me. Lin Xian roared. Golden lightning runes flashed all over his body, making him look like a golden god of war. Countless black dragon flames danced around him like the flames of hell. You want to fight? Then come at me. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind like a god of war. That shocking aura immediately stunned everyone. Many cultivators retreated, not daring to step forward. Disregarding everything else, just the black dragon flame alone was not something they could contend against. The flames were like the flames of hell, more terrifying than the eternal flames of the divine bird palace. Even a martial artist at the middle stage of the spirit detecting realm would be reduced to ashes. Others were afraid, but Jianghu and Yu Qingqing were not afraid at all. The two of them also emitted powerful auras as they quickly approached Lin Xian. Yi Linyun stood up and a sharp sword will emanated from his body. Although he did not attack, his eyes were fixed on Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted and waved his long sword, sending out several sword lights. At the same time, the black dragon flame on his body rolled, forming a giant black dragon that roared and charged forward. Sword Chi Dragon. In an instant, a Sword Chi Azure Dragon rushed toward Yu Qingqing, while a black dragon clawed at Jianghu. Both forces were abnormally powerful, filling the entire space as if they were going to tear it apart. Yu Qingqing's expression was serious. She used the bright moon seal and quickly counterattacked. Jianghu was even more furious. This little bastard dared to fight 1 against 2. He was obviously looking down on him. The eternal purple flames on his body danced, forming a pair of flame wings that swept in all directions. Lin Xian roared to the sky like a god of war. He quickly waved the Wind Shadow Sword, combining the essences of wind and thunder to form a sword chi of wind and thunder that swept in all directions. The next moment he used the Thunder-Fire Annihilation. Thunder and fire intertwined violently. He was fighting Yu Qingcheng and Jiao Yen, two late-stage spirit-detecting realm experts, alone. Sword chi flew, bright moon soared, and flames filled the sky. All kinds of terrifying scenes appeared one after another, causing the entire space to boil. Everyone was even more shocked. Lin Xian was too powerful. He could actually fight two powerful experts by himself. Not only that, he seemed to be getting braver as he fought. On the tip of the sword, countless sword chi rotated and quickly formed a bright moon of sword chi that blasted toward Yu Qingcheng. At the same time he slashed out sword chi again. The black dragon flame intertwined and formed a black phoenix that pounced toward Jiao Yen. Apart from the different colors, the power was almost the same as the two's ultimate attacks. Humph, it's not that easy to imitate an ultimate technique. Yu Qingcheng shouted. Her hands formed a seal, and a bright moon spun and blasted toward Lin Xian's sword chi. Jiao Yen was also furious. His opponent dared to imitate their attack. This was simply a provocation. Little bastard, you're courting death. A terrifying power exploded, forming a rolling wave that covered all directions. What? Impossible. Yu Qingcheng was shocked. In that moment she felt like she was facing the bright moon seal. It was a very strange feeling. It was as if her opponent had also used the bright moon seal. Jiao Yen was even more furious. His flames had been extinguished by his opponent. This was something that was impossible in the past. For a moment, the two experts were shocked and looked at Lin Xian with strange expressions. Lin Xian held his sword and stood proudly. Those attacks were naturally evolved from his Great Dragon Sword will. The Great Dragon Sword was an offensive saint technique. He had only obtained a trace of it, and it was already so powerful. If he obtained the real Great Dragon Sword, one could imagine how terrifying his combat strength would be. Yi Linyun's eyes shone. He stared at Lin Xian and said loudly, "You're not bad. You're worthy of my full strength." However, Lin Xian shook his head and said in a deep voice, "Why don't we destroy the Pavilion of Delicacy together? We'll see who's stronger then. How about it?" Hearing this, Yi Linyun was slightly stunned and then fell into deep thought. Lin Xian's strength was similar to his, and the power of his sword will was similar to his. If the two of them worked together, it was indeed possible to destroy the Pavilion of Delicacy. All right. Yi Linyun nodded in agreement. This change shocked Yu Qingcheng and Jiao Moyan. Yi Linyun was arrogant and had always disdained to work together with others. But now he wanted to work together with Lin Xian. This meant that in his heart, he had recognized Lin Xian's strength. Damn thief, I'll let you have some fun first. Once we destroy the Pavilion of Delicacy, it'll be your death. Jiao Moyan snorted in his heart. Yu Qingcheng also sighed. It seemed that regardless of whether Lin Xian had the earth essence or not, she would not be able to get it. She might as well focus on destroying the Pavilion of Delicacy. She might be able to obtain one or two treasures inside. Just as Lin Xian and Yi Linyun were working together, Yu Qingcheng and Jiao Moyan had also reached an agreement and decided to attack together. The four experts working together shocked the surrounding people. The Pavilion of Delicacy had been troubling them for many days. Now that the four experts were working together, they would definitely be able to destroy it. Lin Xian and the others quickly moved forward and soon arrived within 10 feet of the Pavilion of Delicacy. Then the four of them used their techniques and quickly moved forward. Chapter 527. For a moment, Lin Xian's expression became serious. Last time he was attacked by the blood-red sword chi from the Pavilion of Delicacy, which exposed his identity and led to him being surrounded. After 3 days he was here again. Lin Xian took a deep breath and looked at Yi Linyun. Then he took a step forward. Boom. The Pavilion of Delicacy emitted a dazzling light as the aura above vibrated. A hazy blood-red light appeared and quickly formed a blood-red sword chi that slashed toward Lin Xian. Attack! Lin Xian shouted. 80% of the Great Dragon Sword intent gushed out and carried the black dragon flame. The terrifying sword chi slashed toward the sky. The two sword chis collided, causing the entire space to tremble. However, the blood-red sword chi was too powerful. It quickly suppressed Lin Xian's sword chi and was about to slash down. At this moment, a mysterious sword diagram appeared and rushed toward the blood-red sword chi. Lin Xian and Yi Linyun's attacks seemed to be able to resist the blood-red sword chi. The blood-red sword chi trembled and emitted an aura that was even more terrifying than the greater success sword intent. Lin Xian and Yu Moyan's attacks gradually weakened as if they would shatter at any moment. At this moment Yi Linyun frowned and shouted, "Why aren't you two attacking?" Hearing this, Yu Qingqing and Jiao Moyan did not hold back either. They quickly attacked the blood-red sword chi. A large green-gold hand held a bright moon and quickly blasted toward the sky. The geodemonic flame waved and released a purple immortal flame bird that pounced upward. The four great cultivators all used their unique skills. All of their terrifying power landed on the wound of the blood-red sword chi. The sky was in chaos as the energy raged. In the end, the four of them worked together and finally repelled the blood-red sword chi. Lin Xian and the others were overjoyed at this result. They quickly advanced. However, when they reached 10 meters, they encountered the blood-red sword chi again. This time it was even more violent. The four of them worked together and attacked quickly. This time they spent more time, but they finally shattered the sword chi. After that, there was no more terrifying sword chi. What followed was a monstrous aura that seemed to be able to tear people apart. Lin Xian and the others all displayed their strength and began to resist the pressure as they walked towards the door of light. Lin Xian was the best at resisting invisible forces like pressure. Activating the devouring sword in his body, Lin Xian absorbed the formless pressure. Instantly, he felt his body lighten, and his blood flow became much smoother. With a smile, Lin Xian's figure flickered, quickly disappearing into the light door. So fast. How is this possible? Yu Qingqing and Jiao Moyan couldn't believe it. Their expressions were as if they had seen a ghost. Yi Linyun also frowned. Although he acknowledged Lin Xian's strength, in his opinion, Lin Xian was still inferior to him. But who would have thought that at the last moment, Lin Xian would be able to display such speed? One had to know that even he had to resist this kind of pressure with all his might. He snorted coldly and activated his greater success sword will with all his might. The dazzling sword light on his body flickered incomparably. At that moment he even used his trump card and quickly walked toward the door of light. He didn't want to waste so much energy only to have the thing taken away by someone else. However, before he could get close to the door of light, the entire pavilion of delicacy suddenly shone brightly and then quickly shrank. Like a bubble, the pavilion of delicacy became illusory, and the surrounding air was distorted. What happened? In the distance, everyone was shocked and looked over. Yi Linyun and the other two were even more shocked. Did Lin Xian get that thing? The light of the pavilion of delicacy gradually converged and gradually became transparent, finally forming a spiritual power storm. After the light disappeared, the scene inside the pavilion of delicacy was revealed. They looked up and saw a person's back. "It's that little thief," Jiao Moyan exclaimed. He looked around but didn't find any other treasures. "Where is it? Did that boy really get it?" He roared to the sky, feeling very unwilling. As a peerless genius of the Divine Bird Palace, how could he be inferior to a boy? However, before he could vent his anger, an unusually fierce and violent aura shrouded the area. Jiao Moyan's face changed greatly. Before he could defend himself, he was blasted away. Lin Xian also didn't feel good. His body seemed to be pierced by countless ice swords and it was extremely painful. He stepped back step by step, cracking the hard ground. As he stepped back, everyone finally saw the scene in front of them. A drop of scarlet blood exuded a terrifying pressure. Above it, it exuded a terrifying sword essence, which had surpassed the profound sword essence. An aura that surpassed the profound sword essence? Was it the perfect sword essence? Lin Xian was shocked. Yi Linyun was also happy. His eyes were shining as he stared at the drop of blood. The drop of blood was exposed to the air, and then it exuded a monstrous aura that made everyone collapse to the ground. What is this aura? It's so uncomfortable. No, all the blood in my body seems to be exploding. The surrounding warriors were terrified. They struggled to crawl away, trying to get rid of the terrifying suppression. Only Lin Xian and a few others were still holding on. He and Yi Linyun released a powerful sword essence to resist the shocking sword essence. Jiao Moyan's blood surged, and the phantom of a three-headed vermilion blood bird appeared behind him. He originally had a thin divine bird bloodline, but under the suppression of the drop of blood, the power of his bloodline was stimulated. The phantom of the three-headed vermilion blood bird was very faint, but it was very intelligent. Its cold eyes stared at the drop of blood on the ground, and it was very nervous. What kind of blood could make the three-headed vermilion blood bird nervous? Lin Xian was puzzled. "It's the blood of a king," Wine Lord said, "and it's a king of Sword Dao." A king. Lin Xian was shocked. Above the venerable realm was the king realm. There was no such person in the Tianan region. Even in the Jianghu region they were the top existences. He didn't expect to see the blood of a king here, and the sword essence contained in it was very sharp. It made him feel like he was suffocating. The blood has been here for too long. Otherwise the pressure alone could kill all of you, Wine Lord said. The more Lin Xian listened, the more shocked he became. At the same time he was deeply curious about kings. He wanted to know how powerful a warrior who was more powerful than a venerable realm was. If I can get the blood of a king, I should be able to improve my dragon sword essence again, Lin Xian guessed. Last time, his sword essence improved greatly because he obtained a dead tree with 3 sword scars. Now the sword essence in the king's blood was much stronger than before. It should be able to help him reach the great success sword essence. At that time he wouldn't have to fear anyone. Thinking of this, he looked at the king's blood with a burning gaze. Yi Linyun and the others also had the same idea. Yi Linyun wanted to comprehend the sword essence, and Jiao Moyan wanted to improve his bloodline power. Although Yu Qingqing wasn't a swordsman and didn't have bloodline power, she knew how precious the king's blood was. If she took it back and gave it to the elders in the sect, it would be a great merit. At that time she would receive an unimaginable reward. Therefore she also wanted to get the king's blood. The 4 of them had different thoughts, but they all had the same goal, the king's blood. Chapter 528. This is an ownerless item. It's not certain who will own it. Geodemonic Flame snorted. Although he was afraid of Yi Linyun, it was impossible for him to give up on the king's blood just like that. Alright, then let's compete with our strength. Yu Qingqing reached out with the star-picking hand. Her hand was hazy and illusory. This was the moon-embracing pavilion's ultimate skill, the star-picking hand. Legend had it that once one reached large success, they would be able to grasp the true form. Yi Linyun snorted and unsheathed his sword. Sword chi quickly slashed at the star-picking hand. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He directly used the devouring sword, wanting to devour the king's blood. A pitch-black sword appeared, and a black vortex appeared at the tip of the sword as if it could devour everything. The king's blood trembled and emitted a terrifying light, forming sword chi that slashed in all directions. The sword chi was extremely sharp and could cut through mountains and rivers. Any martial artist below the late stage of the spirit-detecting realm would die upon contact. The sword chi gathered together to form a blood-red sword that resisted the black devouring sword. The other 3 were even more shocked and angry and quickly attacked. Brat, you're courting death. Leave the king's sword behind. Geodemonic Flame was furious. Flames danced behind him, forming a pair of flaming wings that were dozens of feet long. They were like heavenly blades that slashed at Lin Xian. The king's blood was extremely precious. If he could obtain it, he could definitely raise his bloodline power to the extreme and possibly even revert to his ancestors. At that time, he might have a chance to become a disciple of the Divine Bird Palace. So no matter what, he would not give up on the king's blood. All of a sudden, all kinds of terrifying attacks rushed at Lin Xian, wanting to tear him apart. Lin Xian's body flickered, leaving behind a series of afterimages in the air as he dodged like a bubble. He steeled his heart and urged the devouring sword to increase its devouring power. The king's blood trembled even more violently, as if it would disappear at any moment. Originally, with Yi Linyun's strength, it was impossible for them to obtain the king's blood. However, the devouring sword was too terrifying. With Lin Xian's support, it seemed like it was going to devour the king's blood. Lin Xian activated the devouring sword as if he had gone mad. The vortex on the black sword's tip spun quickly, forming a strange and unpredictable power. In the next moment, it sucked the blood away and disappeared. Leave behind the blood of a king. Yi Linyun roared in anger. He slashed out with his long sword, sending out streaks of sword light. Yu Qingqing and Jiao Moyan also roared. They no longer held back and took out their trump cards to face Lin Xian. All of a sudden, all sorts of terrifying attacks were launched, shattering the entire void. However, Lin Xian was already prepared. After he devoured the king's blood, he immediately used the sword of devouring to escape from this space. The black vortex enveloped his body and swallowed him into the darkness. After that, Lin Xian completely disappeared. Jiao Moyan went crazy. Purple flames shot out and burned the whole area. However, no matter how angry he was, he could not find any trace of Lin Xian. Search with all our might. We must find this thief. The 3 of them were furious. They decided to launch an all-out search. The forest was thick and dense. At this moment, ripples suddenly appeared in the sky. A black hole appeared out of thin air and quickly expanded. Then, a figure jumped out of the black hole and landed on the ground. This figure was Lin Xian. However, he was not in a good state at the moment. Using the Sword of Devouring consumed a lot of soul power. Lin Xian had used the Sword of Devouring twice, which was already beyond his endurance. If not for his strong will, he would have fainted already. He gritted his teeth and endured the pain. He quickly scattered some powder on his body and set up a formation. This was the formation that Zhao Ziki had given him. It was used to hide his presence and avoid being tracked. He had stolen the blood of a king. Those people would definitely go crazy looking for him. Therefore he had to hide carefully. Otherwise, in his current state, if he was found, the consequences would be dire. However, Lin Xian was not too worried. As long as his soul power recovered, he would not need to be afraid of anyone while comprehending the sword intent in Wangzhe's blood. In the evening, the setting sun cast the entire forest into darkness. Lin Xian sat cross-legged on a huge tree trunk and quickly recovered. Not long after, he opened his eyes. The soul power that he had consumed was completely recovered. Next was to comprehend the blood of a king. He summoned the snow-white monkey to protect him while his soul power entered the mysterious small sword. There, a drop of scarlet blood floated, emitting a terrifying aura. The scarlet light flashed and turned into a blood-red long sword. Lin Xian used the sword intent of a dragon to attack and triggered the terrifying sword intent in the blood of a king. Then, the monstrous sword intent surged out as if to destroy everything. Lin Xian focused and quickly comprehended. The space in the mysterious small sword was very magical. It did not care about the destruction of the sword intent at all. Moreover, Lin Xian was surprised to find that his comprehension seemed to have increased greatly in the mysterious small sword. The originally hazy bottleneck of the great success of the sword intent was now very clear. It was as if he could cross it at any time. Just as Lin Xian was comprehending the great success of the sword intent, the entire Lost Lands was surging with undercurrents. The 3 six-star sects had joined forces with their subsidiary sects and launched a large-scale search to capture Lin Xian. The Lost Lands was originally controlled by the 3 major forces. Now that all of them were on the move, it could be said that Lin Xian was doomed. Lin Xian also knew that the situation was urgent. He had to comprehend the great success of the sword intent. Otherwise, he would not be able to withstand the anger of the 3 six-star sections. 3 days later, a dazzling sword light burst out from his body. The terrifying sword aura turned into a true dragon and roared at the sky. At this moment, all the demonic beasts within 100 miles were prostrated on the ground, trembling. It was a pressure that came from the depths of their souls. The dragon's roar made them unable to resist at all. The nearby martial artists were also shocked. The sword aura was too terrifying. It made their hearts tremble. Could it be that thief? Quickly report that the target has been found. No one dared to delay. They quickly released signals to inform Yi Linyun and the others. Soon, countless martial artists rushed over. Everyone joined forces and formed a circle, rushing toward the source of the sword aura. On the giant tree, Lin Xian suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze turned into rays of sword light, tearing the space in front of him. Is this the great success of the sword intent? It's so powerful. He clenched his fists and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Then he frowned. He sensed a large number of martial artists chasing after him. The corner of Lin Xian's mouth curled into a cold smile as he raised his arm. These people joined forces to search for him. Did they really think that he was easy to bully? In the next moment he lowered his arm and a sword aura that was 100 feet long was released. The sword aura was swift and fierce. It was like a true dragon charging at high speed. Wherever it passed, the mountain rocks shattered and the ground caved in. Ah no! The martial artists who were chasing after him screamed in horror and quickly retreated. However, they were still one step too late. Chapter 529. Boom. An earth-shattering sound rang out, causing the entire earth to tremble. Mountains collapsed one after another, and countless trees were swept away by the fierce wind, turning into pieces under the sword chi. This sword was too terrifying. It killed more than 10 early-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artists. A 1,000-meter-long crack appeared on the ground. It was so deep that the bottom couldn't be seen. It was terrifying. The surviving martial artists trembled and fled. They no longer dared to chase after Lin Xian. It was too terrifying. Even Yi Linyun and the other 2 top experts might not be able to create such a terrifying aura. After repelling everyone, Lin Xian's figure flashed and quickly disappeared. After reaching greater success in sword intent, his perception of the great dragon sword had become clearer. Now was the time to find it. Not long after he left, Jiu Moyan, Yu Qingqing and the others quickly arrived. They looked at the bottomless sword scar in silence. Judging from the aura emanating from him, Lin Xian had already surpassed them. Jiu Moyan's expression was ferocious as he clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. It had only been a few days and Lin Xian had surpassed him from an ant. He couldn't accept this. Yu Qingqing also sighed. Lin Xian's growth was too fast. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before they were no match for Lin Xian. In the forest, Yi Linyun looked at the 1,000-meter-long sword scar with a solemn expression. He then turned into a sword light and rushed forward. His mentality was different from Jiu Moyan and Yu Qingqing. As a swordsman he had to fight with Lin Xian. Lin Xian was moving in the direction he sensed. At this moment he suddenly felt a powerful force rapidly approaching from behind. He abruptly turned his head and saw a beam of sword chi rushing over from behind. Wherever it passed, the trees on both sides were cut in half. The sword chi was too sharp. It destroyed everything around it. Nothing could stop it. Yi Linyun. Lin Xian stopped with a solemn expression. He had to admit that his opponent was an outstanding swordsman. Whoosh! The sword light arrived in front of Lin Xian and instantly stopped. The terrifying sword chi turned into a sword wave, slicing through the air in all directions. Yi Linyun's figure also appeared. His white robe fluttered in the wind, and he carried an ancient sword on his back. His body was filled with sword intent, and he looked like an unsheathed divine sword. Mastery of sword intent. You've really broken through to mastery of sword intent. Yi Linyun looked at Lin Xian, his voice trembling slightly. Needless to say, this was definitely the effect of the king's blood. If he had obtained the king's blood back then his sword intent would most likely have taken a step closer and reached the great perfection realm. No one can take away what belongs to me, and you are no exception. Yi Linyun pulled out the ancient sword on his back. Holding the ancient sword, Yi Linyun's sword chi became even stronger. If it was before, Lin Xian really wouldn't have been confident. But now that he had reached the large success stage of sword intent, he didn't fear Yi Linyun at all. He believed that the great success of the great dragon sword intent was definitely stronger than his opponent's sword intent. You're very strong but you can't beat me. Lin Xian was very confident. Arrogant. Yi Linyun shouted angrily. He had never been underestimated. Although Lin Xian had also comprehended the great success stage of sword intent, he didn't believe that his opponent's sword intent was stronger than his. After all, he had comprehended the great success stage of sword intent for quite some time. In terms of sword intent, he could definitely crush his opponent. Thinking of this, he stabbed out with the ancient sword in his hand, and a monstrous spiritual energy erupted. The sword chi was like a rainbow that quickly streaked across the void. Wherever it passed, small spatial cracks appeared. Whoosh! Lin Xian held the wind shadow sword and used the sword drawing technique. The sword chi of wind and thunder struck the ancient sword. Bang! The two swords collided, forming a sword wave that spread out in all directions. The ground shook and the surrounding trees were cut in half. Countless sword chi appeared in the air and flew in all directions. After one strike, the entire ground was covered in wounds. Seeing that his ancient sword was blocked, Yi Linyun's pupils shrank. Then he swept his sword across and countless sword chi flew out. Every sword chi was terrifying and contained the great success stage of sword intent. Hundreds of sword chi attacked together, and all of them blasted toward Lin Xian. This attack was very terrifying, and very few people in the spirit detecting realm could block it. Lin Xian stopped abruptly, and the wind shadow sword drew a half moon in front of him. The great success stage dragon sword intent merged with the sword chi, and the moon-breaking sword chi flew out. The huge arc-shaped sword chi was like a crescent moon, and it instantly split apart all of Yi Linyun's sword chi. Then it quickly slashed down. Yi Linyun's body retreated rapidly, and he was drifting unsteadily. He was extremely shocked. He used his speed to the extreme, and only then did he barely manage to dodge the crescent sword chi. How is this possible? They were both at the great success stage of sword intent, but why was his opponent's sword intent so sharp that it could split all of his attacks in one move? This didn't make sense at all. One had to know that he was the peerless genius of the deity Sword Villa, and he had comprehended the great success stage of sword intent for 2 years. In terms of mastery and usage of sword intent, he was absolutely confident that he could crush Lin Xian. However, reality gave him a blow to the head. In front of Lin Xian, his great success stage sword Qi couldn't even withstand a single blow. He couldn't accept it. Impossible. Suppress him. Yi Linyun shouted. His sword intent intertwined, forming a mysterious sword diagram. The sword diagram was at a loss, and it emitted an unpredictable aura, as if it could envelop heaven and earth. Yi Linyun waved the ancient sword, and he controlled the sword diagram to suppress Lin Xian. The mysterious sword diagram released tens of thousands of sword qi, and even the void couldn't withstand it. Lin Xian focused. He had already seen the power of the sword diagram and it was terrifying. However, now that he had reached the great success stage of sword intent, he wasn't afraid of the sword diagram at all. On the wind shadow sword, the black dragon flame danced, and it emitted scorching energy. A black dragon was born with the sword qi and it flew out quickly. Bang. In the next moment, it dashed out and occupied the entire space, and its huge dragon claws slapped the sword diagram. The black flame danced and burned, and the sword qi was domineering, destroying the sword diagram. Yi Linyun's mysterious sword diagram was completely suppressed by the black dragon flame, and the light on it dimmed. Take my strongest attack. Ling Yun gritted his teeth and said. Then all the spiritual energy in his body surged and poured into the sword diagram. The dim sword diagram emitted a dazzling light again, and sword intent intertwined on the sword diagram, forming a mysterious sword that emitted a shocking aura. The sword diagram and the divine sword rushed out quickly, slashing toward Lin Xian. The divine sword was only 3 feet long, but it seemed to be able to crush heaven and earth as it rushed toward Lin Xian. Sword of Nirvana. Lin Xian waved the wind shadow sword, and with a stab, everything fell silent. He had comprehended this move from the king's blood, and it was extremely powerful. He had comprehended a total of 3 moves, and this sword of Nirvana was one of them. An aura of death was emitted, and it quickly collided with the sword diagram. The originally bright divine sword diagram quickly dimmed under the influence of the sword of Nirvana, as if it had run out of energy. What sword technique is this? Yi Linyun was shocked. This move was too strange and it directly made his sword diagram disappear. Chapter 530. With a flash of sword light, it pierced through Yi Linyun's defense. The terrifying sword intent instantly left a bloody hole in his shoulder. Yi Linyun was terrified and frantically retreated. However, Lin Xian was even faster. He waved his left palm and struck Yi Linyun's chest, sending him flying. You've lost. Lin Xian sheathed his sword with a cold expression. Then he turned around and left, quickly disappearing. His strength had already surpassed Yi Linyun's, so there was no point in continuing the fight. Yi Linyun lay on the ground, his eyes losing their luster. He had always claimed to be a sword genius and had never taken anyone seriously. When he first met Lin Xian, although he did not show it, he still disdained him in his heart. However, today the person he disdained had actually defeated him. This was undoubtedly a deep irony to him. He knew that Lin Xian had already become his inner demon. If he did not resolve it, his sword skills would probably not improve in this lifetime. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 figures rushed over from behind and landed on a tree branch. These 2 people were Geodemonic Flame and Yu Qingqing. They were originally chasing after Lin Xian, but when they saw Yi Linyun's situation, they were all stunned. Even someone as powerful as Yi Linyun had been defeated. Were they still going to chase after him? Lin Xian naturally did not know this. He followed the perception of the great dragon sword and quickly ran into the forest. The trees in front of him became sparse and a mountain range appeared. In the mountain range there was a huge palace floating. Lin Xian sensed that the great dragon sword seemed to be in the palace. He did not delay any longer and turned into a stream of light, flying away. After approaching, he saw the huge palace clearly. It was a dark red palace. It was surrounded by black lightning, emitting a wild and desolate aura. On the stone pillars, there were all kinds of ancient beasts carved. The workmanship was amazing. What was even more shocking was that the entire palace was sitting on a pile of bones. Those bones were very large. The shortest was dozens of feet long, while the longest was hundreds of feet long. There were even some that were close to 10,000 feet long. These bones were piled together, forming a white bone mountain. The great desolate palace sat on top of the bone mountain. The 2 scenes gave people a very shocking visual impact. Lin Xian took a deep breath and transformed into a bolt of lightning as he quickly approached. Soon he arrived in front of the palace. His surrounding soul power probed forward, but it was blocked by a mysterious power. Even though he was so close to it, he still felt that the palace was like a dream, as if it shouldn't exist. This feeling was too strange. It was something he had never experienced before. Be careful, I sense an unusual aura. Wine Lord transmitted his voice. Yes. Lin Xian nodded and cautiously walked forward. In the next moment his expression changed drastically, and he moved 10 meters to the side. The space where he was originally standing cracked open. Countless wind blades appeared and shattered the space. You're that thief? Interesting. A mocking voice sounded. He's only SOSO. In my opinion, he can't even withstand a single blow. I can crush him to death with a single finger. This voice was filled with disdain. Lin Xian's expression was gloomy. He looked back and his expression changed. There was a figure standing on a nearby hill. This person was very strange. He had a body with 2 heads, one on the left and one on the right. One was a man and one was a woman. What kind of person was this? This was clearly a monster. At this moment, the 2 heads were looking at Lin Xian, their eyes full of malice. Hee big brother, look at that thief's shocked expression. He's so cute. I really want to cut off his head and hug it. Cute my ass. I must chop him into mincemeat and feed him to the dogs. The 2 of them spoke one after another, completely disregarding Lin Xian. Lin Xian frowned. This monster gave him a very dangerous feeling. Moreover, he didn't sense its existence at all. If it wasn't for the spiritual energy fluctuations from the last attack, he might not have been able to dodge in time. What is this monster's background? That little thief definitely wants to know who we are, but we won't tell him. The little monster sister laughed. Little sister, stop messing around. I must let him die knowing. The big monster brother's face was insolent. Little thief, you dared to kill a disciple of my divine bird palace. Today I will let you die. I will pull out your tendons, peel off your skin, refine your soul, and seal you in hell forever. Divine Bird Palace? They are also disciples of the Divine Bird Palace? Lin Xian was shocked, but when he thought about the strange combination of the 3 heads of the 3-headed vermilion blood bird, he was no longer surprised. There was no need to think. For such a monster to exist, it had to be the Divine Bird Palace. However, what shocked Lin Xian was that this 2-headed monster's cultivation was abnormally strong. It was far stronger than the demonic dove flame. Perhaps even Yi Linyun was not its opponent. This guy should be at the peak of the spirit detecting realm. I just don't know if this 2-headed monster has any other special abilities? Lin Xian guessed. Little thief, have you thought about how you're going to die? The big monster brother shouted. Big brother, you must preserve his head. The little monster sister laughed. Stop bragging. You're neither a man nor a woman. Show me what you've got. Lin Xian coldly snorted. What did you say? You're courting death. The little monster sister screamed. Wah wah wah, I'll tear you to pieces. The big monster brother also crazily roared. As brother and sister, they were twins and had inherited the pure bloodline of the 3-headed vermilion blood bird. Although they were strong, they were still monsters in the eyes of outsiders. Lin Xian's words had poked at their sore spot, so the 2 of them were extremely irritable. Little brat, you're dead. No one in the world can save you. The big monster brother crazily roared. A death scythe appeared in his hand with purple lightning dancing on top of it. The little monster sister took out a giant fan. A green light flowed on top of it, containing the power of the wind. I'll make your head into the most beautiful specimen. The little monster sister shouted and waved the giant fan in her hand. The power of the wind enveloped Lin Xian. The big monster brother waved his death scythe. Suddenly the sky was filled with thunder and lightning. It was like a sea of thunder from hell. The violent power of the thunder and the cold power of the wind attacked at the same time. Like 2 energy storms, they quickly enveloped Lin Xian. The power was very terrifying. It was far from what geodemonic flame and the others could display. The monster brother and sister must be the top genius disciples of the Divine Bird Palace. Lin Xian's face was solemn. His figure was like a phantom as he dodged at extreme speed. The 2's cultivation was far above his. Moreover, they had the power of thunder and wind. They were stronger than him. Fortunately, he had comprehended the great success of the sword intent. Otherwise, there was no way he could fight this battle. Sword of Nirvana. A sword light flashed and the power of death appeared. It was as if it could destroy everything. The gray sword light dragon rushed into the wind and thunder energy and exploded with a terrifying power of Nirvana. Chapter 531. Your moves are exquisite but your power is too weak. Break for me. The monster brother sneered disdainfully. Then he waved his death scythe, and an even more violent power of thunder and lightning, together with the huge scythe phantom, quickly slashed out. Ka. The Nirvana sword shattered under the bombardment, turning into bits and pieces and disappearing into the sky. Ha ha ha. The monster brother laughed. Little thief, go to hell. The scythe phantom was too powerful, instantly shattering the Nirvana sword. The monster brother's casual attack had already surpassed Yi Linyun's strongest move. On the other side, the monster sister waved the green fan in her hand, and the surrounding air condensed and then quickly cracked, like countless cracks appearing on the surface of a mirror. For a moment, Lin Xian felt the surrounding space freeze, as if his body was about to be torn apart. He quickly used the concept of wind to resist the opponent's wind power. At the same time he waved his sword again. Sword of Slaughter. This sword was also comprehended from the blood of a king. On the sword light, a scarlet blood light appeared, and a blood-colored sword aura surged out. The light was dazzling like blood, and emitted a bloody aura as well as a monstrous aura of slaughter. This was a sword of slaughter, and the violent spiritual energy instantly slashed at the monster. Ka. Wherever the blood-colored sword aura passed, the space cracked, and the opponent's wind power was destroyed. Interesting. The monster sister laughed and the fan in her hand spun. Suddenly dozens of gusts of wind appeared, connecting heaven and earth, and swept towards Lin Xian. The ground cracked and the mountain rocks collapsed. It was a terrifying scene. The two fought fiercely, and the energy was vast and terrifying, sweeping in all directions. However, they did not notice that there were 8 black stone steels buried in the ground around the Bone Palace. Now, the violent energy fluctuations had blasted the ground open, and the stone steels emitted a strange light. Suddenly, one of the stone steels was blasted away by the surging energy. The black stone steel that was blasted away had a smooth surface. It paused in the air for a moment, and then quickly flew towards the ground. It was as if it wanted to suppress something. However, just as it approached the ground, a beam of energy suddenly rushed out from the ground, shattering the black stone steel. Lin Xian and the demon siblings did not notice this. They were still fighting fiercely. However, not long after, a terrifying aura gushed out from the ground. It was as if a peerless demon was about to be born. Lin Xian was shocked. His figure retreated like a flash of sword light, instantly arriving at a safe place. The demon siblings stopped in midair, their expressions grave and uneasy. They quickly looked around and locked onto the ground. Big brother, what's the aura this time? Why do I feel that it's even stronger than our holy bird? I don't know. Looking at the strange situation here, could there really be some terrifying existence suppressed below? For a moment they were bewildered. Lin Xian was also puzzled. This aura was too powerful. He felt that it had even surpassed a venerable one's aura. Kid, something's not right. I'm afraid there's a peerless monster below. Wine Lord transmitted his voice. Don't act rashly. If there's a threat, use the devouring sword to escape. Lin Xian nodded and released his soul force to sense the surroundings. Big brother, do we still want to kill this little thief? The little monster sister asked. Kill. He's an enemy of our divine bird palace. If we don't kill him, we won't be able to sleep tonight. The demon brother's expression was ferocious. They observed for a while and found that although the aura underground was fierce, it couldn't come out for a while. They had absolute confidence that they could kill Lin Xian in one move. Little thief, I don't have time to play with you. Die. The demon brother waved his huge scythe. The sky was filled with scythe phantoms. Like the summoning of the Grim Reaper, the death scythe was entwined with purple lightning. Its momentum was terrifying and incomparably violent. A scythe blade that was 100 feet long quickly slashed down from the void. The little monster sister also unleashed waves of sharp wind power. The combination of wind and thunder made the death scythe even more fierce. It had the momentum to destroy everything. The void cracked and countless small cracks appeared as if it couldn't bear this power. Lin Xian didn't force his way. He raised his speed to the extreme and retreated like lightning. At the same time he activated the wind concept to reduce the spatial resistance to the minimum. Sword light flashed under Lin Xian's feet. In an instant his speed reached the extreme. The huge death scythe slashed down, and a terrifying trench appeared on the ground again. This attack sent another black steel flying. The huge death scythe was about to envelop Lin Xian. At this moment, an even more violent aura surged from the ground. It was as if a pair of invisible hands had grabbed the death scythe and shattered the black steel that was sent flying. Then, the terrifying death scythe turned into pure energy and sank into the ground. The ground trembled and countless cracks spread out in all directions. It was a shocking sight, as if it would split open at any time. The remaining 6 steels emitted light, forming a huge astral array that suppressed the area below. However, because 2 of the array were broken, it was badly damaged. Moreover, it was unknown if it was because of its age, but the array's light flickered. Roar! A deep roar came from the ground. It was dull and desolate, but it carried an endless aura. As soon as the sound came out, countless lightning bolts appeared in the sky, dancing wildly. There were even bolts of lightning as thick as buckets that struck in all directions. What's this? Is there really a peerless beast coming out? The demon sister had a look of fear. Damn it, it's too strange. Let's retreat first. The demon brother did not dare to fight anymore. Little thief, consider yourself lucky. I'll spare your life for now. I'll definitely take your head another day. The demon siblings rushed into the sky, wanting to leave. However, they did not go far before an invisible barrier bounced them back. How can this be? Ouch, it hurts. Why can't we go out? The demon sister roared. Lin Xian's face was gloomy. From the situation just now, it seemed that the surroundings had been sealed. However, he did not know if it was because of the array or the demons below. However, he had the sword of devouring, so he was not too worried. On the other side, the demon siblings condensed the death scythe once again and slashed at the void, trying to tear open the invisible shackles and escape this world. However, their attacks were futile. The bombardment did not remove any threat at all. Instead, their attacks turned into pure energy and sank into the ground. The demon siblings were shocked by this scene. A sense of fear enveloped their hearts. Damn it! They roared, then looked at Lin Xian. Despicable little thief, it's all because of you that we're in such danger. I'll definitely tear you to pieces. Lin Xian's face was gloomy as he snorted, I'm standing right here. Come at me if you have the ability. If you don't bite like mad dogs. What did you say? You're courting death. We'll kill you right now. The demon siblings roared crazily and turned into afterimages as they charged over. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He held the Wind Shadow sword and released his Greater Success sword intent, ready to charge out at any moment. Chapter 532. The surrounding air exploded, and large cracks appeared in the space as countless black holes flickered within. This terrifying momentum sent the demon siblings flying in the sky. Lin Xian was also shocked. He used his movement technique to quickly dodge. At the same time, he waved his long sword and slashed the violent energy around him away. This aura was too terrifying. He did not plan to stay here any longer. At this moment, several extremely powerful auras suddenly came from afar and were rushing in this direction. In the next moment, 8 figures appeared in the sky. 8 figures stood in the sky. Lin Xian was shocked. He looked up and saw 8 people wearing beast skins. Their expressions were solemn and their auras were powerful. Even the weakest one was stronger than the monster siblings. 2 of them had the most powerful auras. Lin Xian sensed that they were definitely not weaker than the supremacies he had seen before. Who are these people? There are actually 2 supremacies. Lin Xian was astonished. Judging from the monster siblings' expressions, these people were definitely not from the 3 forces. There was only one possibility, and that was that they were natives of the Lost Lands. There were actually supremacies in the Lost Lands. Lin Xian did not dare to imagine it. The 8 figures in the sky looked at the cracked ground and the pillar-like black shadow with solemn expressions. One of the old men stretched out his palm and grabbed downwards, instantly breaking the invisible barrier. The 8 figures quickly descended and appeared in front of Lin Xian. Brats from the outside world, how dare you break the secondary ceiling steels? One of the young men in beast clothing shouted coldly. As for the others, they quickly scouted out the situation. Oh no, the 2 ceiling steels have disappeared. Someone exclaimed. What? The old man in the lead was shocked. Quickly set up the formation. We must suppress the monsters below. You 2 dare to break the seal of the steels. You're courting death. The young man in beast clothing had a cold expression. He quickly attacked and 2 light palms blasted towards Lin Xian and the monster siblings. Lin Yuxuan quickly dodged and narrowly avoided the huge light palms. The monster siblings were even more furious. They were geniuses and had never been scolded like this before. Now, there was actually someone who was disrespectful to them. This was simply more detestable than that little thief. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them wielded huge scythes and hacked apart the palm of light, quickly rushing over. Unexpectedly, The beast-rogue young man snorted coldly and pointed his finger at the scythe phantom in the sky. Then the finger beam blasted the demon siblings away. Lin Xian was astonished. This youth was too powerful. He had sent the demon's cultivation flying with a single move. It has to be said that the monster siblings were both at the peak of the spirit-detecting realm. The two of them together were extremely powerful. But now he was defeated with a single move. Then, the beast-clothed young man looked at Lin Xian with killing intent in his eyes. Those who destroy the sealing steel die. As he pointed out with his finger, the space around him trembled as a gigantic finger beam spun rapidly, arriving before Lin Xian in an instant. It was too fast, so fast that Lin Xian had no time to react. At the critical moment, he used the sword of devouring to devour his body and disappeared. Using the sword of devouring consumed soul power, and the longer the distance, the more soul power it consumed. Lin Xian could easily cover a distance of 10 feet. 10 feet away, she appeared with a trace of anger in her eyes. She didn't know what the sealing steel was, and the other party didn't give any explanation. She was furious that he tried to kill her as soon as he appeared. He actually dodged it. The beast-clothed young man was surprised, and then a trace of anger appeared on his face. It was a bit surprising that an ant could dodge his attack. He raised his finger and wanted to attack again. At this moment, the old man in the lead shouted, "Shirkuan, what are you doing? Hurry up and set up the array. If that ferocious beast escapes, everyone will die." Hearing the shout, the beast-clothed young man's face changed. He looked coldly at Lin Xian, then quickly moved to the front of a black steel. "Boy, you're lucky. I'll spare your life this time. But since you dare to destroy the steel, I'll take your life sooner or later." A voice full of killing intent echoed in Lin Xian's ears. At this moment, the 8 natives of the Lost Land quickly used their spiritual power and injected it into the steel. A huge starlight array was formed with a monstrous aura, suppressing the area below. Lin Xian frowned. It was not a good thing to be targeted by such a powerful warrior. Moreover, the other party seemed determined to kill him. It didn't feel good to be controlled by others. Only by obtaining the Great Dragon Sword could he get rid of this situation. Thinking of this, he retreated to the side and secretly observed the situation. On the White Bone Mountain, there was a huge palace surrounded by black lightning. Ordinary warriors couldn't get close at all. According to Wine Lord's judgment, even a warrior in the Venerable Realm couldn't break the black lightning. Lin Xian could use the Sword of Devouring to go in, but it consumed too much soul power. He would be in a weakened state if he went in. That place was definitely not safe. If he encountered danger in his weakened state, he wouldn't be able to resist it. He would be courting death if he went in. Therefore he was waiting for an opportunity. The ground cracked, and a black shadow danced in all directions, resisting the new array formed by the 8 warriors. Only then did Lin Xian realize that the huge black shadow was actually a tail. However, the tail was too terrifying. It was 100 feet long and covered with scales. Each scale was the size of a house, shining brightly and filled with terrifying power. The tail shook and every time it hit the starlight array. If it weren't for the strange energy emitted by the black steel, the 8 warriors wouldn't be able to resist the huge tail. Even with the suppression of the black steel, the 8 of them still found it difficult. The tail that was 100 feet long bombarded the starlight array, and then it was sent flying by the impact. It fell in the direction of the mysterious palace. Boom, boom. The tail that was 100 feet long hit the mysterious palace, and the surrounding black lightning immediately formed a terrifying lightning power, enveloping it. Crackle. Suddenly, a low roar came from below. Obviously, the power of the black lightning was too much for the beast to bear. Then, the tail that was 100 feet long slashed at the black lightning like a heavenly knife. The two collided and there was an earth-shaking roar. The entire mountain range trembled and countless mountains exploded and turned into gravel. What was even more shocking was that the huge tail actually tore open a crack in the black lightning. This scene immediately shocked the 8 indigenous warriors. They knew how terrifying the black lightning was. Once, there was a martial venerable in their tribe who wanted to enter the lost shrine. In the end, he was struck by the black lightning and nothing was left. Since then, no one dared to have any ideas about the palace. Instead, they followed the ancient will and guarded the White Bone Mountain, suppressing the demonic creatures below. However, they didn't expect the demon below the White Bone Mountain to be able to split the black lightning. Needless to say, the peerless demon's cultivation must have surpassed the martial venerable realm. If it came out, it would definitely be a disaster for the entire lost place. Therefore they had to suppress it. Lin Xian saw the gap in the distance and his heart beat wildly. Chapter 533. Therefore he did not hesitate. He turned into a ray of sword light and quickly approached the mysterious palace. The beast-rogue youth happened to see this scene. "Brat, you're courting death." The beast-rogue youth was furious. He did not expect that an ant would dare to touch the lost temple. Immediately the other 7 powerhouses saw this scene, but all of their spiritual energy was used to maintain the array, so they could not do anything. They could only watch as Lin Xian entered the lost temple through the gap in the black lightning. Whoosh! In the next moment Lin Xian disappeared, and the black lightning that was split open completely recovered and emitted a terrifying energy again. "Elder, that little thief entered the lost temple. What should we do?" The beast-rogue youth roared unwillingly. "Ignore him. The lost temple is extremely dangerous. Even a venerable will die inside. He's only at the early stage of the spirit-detecting realm. There's no chance for him to survive." The leading elder shook his head. If the lost temple was so easy to break into, they would have acted long ago. "Alright, don't think too much. Quickly suppress this beast." The 8 of them shouted and poured their spiritual energy into the black stone tablet. The other 2 venerables used their methods to simulate 2 stone tablets and suppressed it together. The mysterious palace was gloomy and gloomy. After Lin Xian entered, his perception of the great dragon sword became stronger and stronger. He could clearly sense that the great dragon sword was in this palace, and he also felt a faint summoning. It seemed that his great dragon sword intent had a trace of connection with the great dragon sword soul. After passing through layers of passages, Lin Xian quickly walked into the depths of the palace. He remembered that there was a mysterious man in the image he had seen before. If he guessed correctly, that mysterious man should be from the Black Dragon sect. No matter what, he would not let him get the great dragon sword soul. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's speed increased again, and he turned into a ray of light and quickly disappeared. In the huge space there was a black array platform in the center. The platform was surrounded by black crystals that were 10 feet tall. They emitted a strange and unpredictable power that formed a defensive barrier. In the center of the array platform, the great dragon sword soul was constantly floating. Not far from the black altar stood a black-robed man. This man had a feminine appearance. His face was pale and there were a few black scales on his cheeks. At this moment he looked at the black altar with a fiery gaze. However, he did not move. The reason for that was because there was an invisible power surrounding the black altar that was capable of blocking everything. After such a long time, the black-robed man was still advancing slowly. He still hadn't reached the edge of the altar. There were 4 pitch-black gates in the 4 corners of the mysterious space, just like the gates of hell. The door behind the black-robed man was already open, while the other 3 sides were sealed. At this moment, the sealed black door in front of the black-robed man suddenly trembled. Someone came in. Don't tell me they are the aboriginals of the Lost Lands. The black-robed man's eyes were cold. He had also heard that the natives of the Lost Lands were called the descendants of the gods. It seemed that they had a special method to enter this place. With doubts in his heart, he looked at the open pitch-black door. The black door slowly opened and a young man walked out. His face was delicate and pretty, and his eyes were as sharp as swords. What? It's him. The black-robed man was shocked. Then, his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Lin Xian ran all the way and saw a pitch-black door. Without hesitation he quickly pushed open the hellish door. Then he saw a huge black altar. There were 4 pitch-black crystals on top of the altar, and they were giving off a mysterious aura. Behind the altar stood a devilish man in a black robe. Lin Xian was not surprised. He had seen this black-robed man in the previous scene. Moreover, at the Green Dragon Assembly, he had also seen a puppet that looked exactly like this black-robed man. Thinking about it, that puppet should exist to collect true dragon chi. The black-robed man was shocked. He had thought that it would be an old monster from the Lost Lands, but he had not expected it to be a young man. Moreover, he knew this young man and even had a feud with him. Lowly worm, I didn't expect you to be here. You actually came here. You dared to ruin my plan last time. I will destroy your body and soul. The black-robed man was filled with murderous intent. According to his original plan, he would obtain enough real dragon chi at the Green Dragon Assembly. This way he would be able to weaken the seal around him and quickly obtain the great dragon sword soul. However, he did not expect that there would be a young man who could defeat his clone at the Green Dragon Assembly and even see through his identity. As a result, not only did he not obtain more real dragon chi, he could not even take away the original one. In the end he only obtained a wisp of real dragon chi. Until now he had not been able to get close to the great dragon sword soul. If not for Lin Xian's interference, he might have already obtained the great dragon sword soul. Therefore he had unwillingly torn his opponent apart. Lin Xian's heart was heavy, and his face became extremely ugly. Judging from his aura, the black-robed man's cultivation was at least in the honorable realm. It was very likely that he was even higher. In the face of such an expert, he had no chance of escaping, let alone obtaining the great dragon sword soul. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. According to his opponent's hatred, he would definitely attack mercilessly as soon as he came. However, until now, the black-robed man had only emitted a shocking killing intent and had not made any excessive moves. Lin Xian was puzzled. The black-robed man would not let him go, so there must be a reason why he did not attack. Perhaps the black-robed man could not attack now, or perhaps this space did not allow fighting. Lin Xian did not know what the reason was, but he knew that at least he was safe for now. Moreover, he had a chance to fight for the great dragon sword soul. Thinking of this, his heart was burning. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, he reached out with his soul and did not find any danger. Then he took a step forward. Looking at Lin Xian's cautious and timid actions, the black-robed man's eyes were full of disdain. Even with his strength, he had only broken through a small distance. It was impossible for an ant like Lin Xian to get close. Sure enough, it was not long before Lin Xian's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He felt that there was a huge force in front of him that was preventing him from moving forward. If he forced his way forward, he would probably be smashed to pieces. As expected of the great dragon sword soul, every step was so dangerous. Lin Xian was shocked. He stopped and breathed a sigh of relief. He had only taken 3 steps, and there was still a distance of 300 feet between him and the huge altar in the center. Meanwhile, the black-robed man was about 200 feet away. Ha ha, lowly worm. I don't know how you came in, but with your strength you want to get close to the altar? You must be dreaming. Chapter 534. Lin Xian's face turned cold. He clenched his teeth and prepared to use the devouring sword. However, the great dragon sword was also one of the 5 swords in the world. It had the same power as the devouring sword, so it couldn't be devoured. Even if he used the devouring sword to forcefully move, he couldn't do it here. He sighed helplessly. He could only find another way. I wonder if the great dragon sword intent will work? Lin Xian began to use the great dragon sword intent in his body. The great dragon sword intent rushed out, forming a sharp aura. The next moment, the great dragon sword soul in the black altar suddenly trembled. It transformed into the shape of a long sword as if it wanted to cut through space and time. What? He can actually resonate with the great dragon sword soul. The black-robed man was shocked. Then his face became very ugly. One had to know that he had previously mocked Lin Xian. In his opinion, how could a weak worm like Lin Xian be able to connect with the great dragon sword soul? His identity was extraordinary and his cultivation was powerful. Even so, he couldn't connect with the great dragon sword soul. However, Lin Xian had released a trace of sword intent, which caused the great dragon sword soul to tremble. How is this possible? The black-robed man's face was very gloomy. He stared at Lin Xian and carefully felt the sword intent. Large success sword intent. He was slightly shocked. It was rare for someone at the early stage of the spirit detecting realm to comprehend large success sword intent. Something's wrong. Although it's only large success sword intent, it feels stronger than other sword intents. What kind of sword intent can connect with the great dragon sword soul? The black-robed man felt a bit uneasy. Seeing that the great dragon sword intent could connect with the great dragon sword soul, Lin Xian was also very happy. Next, he prepared to use the great dragon sword intent to open a path and see if he could cut through the invisible resistance to get close to the great dragon sword soul. He pulled out the wind shadow sword and waved it. Sword intent surged out, and a bright sword light slashed forward. Before the sword light landed, it encountered a great resistance. It was as if there was a pair of invisible hands holding the sword chi. Lin Xian gritted his teeth and used the great dragon sword intent. The sword chi slowly descended, cutting through the invisible resistance bit by bit. Although it was slow, it was much better than before. Relying on the great dragon sword intent, Lin Xian slowly approached the great dragon sword soul. On the other side, the black-robed man's face became even more gloomy. He snorted coldly and the spiritual energy in his body surged, forming a terrifying pressure. With a wave of his hand, a dark silhouette shot out. A gigantic beast claw appeared in the air and swiped forward like a dragon claw. If it was outside, the claw might even be able to kill a venerable one. At this moment, the terrifying beast claw attack was not as effective as the great dragon sword will. This scene caused the black-robed man to be stunned. His heart went crazy, and he wanted nothing more than to kill Lin Xian with a single palm strike. However, in this place he could only go mad in his heart. He couldn't break through the restriction at all, let alone kill it. Seeing the black-robed man's speed, Lin Xian's heart calmed down. A sneer appeared at the corners of his mouth, and he exerted even more effort to stimulate the great dragon sword intent. Although the black-robed man had arrived earlier than him, at this speed, he would definitely reach the great dragon sword soul before the black-robed man. When that time came, the situation would be different. Just like that, the two of them opened up a path day and night and finally reached the 30-meter mark almost at the same time. In this place, Lin Xian could already feel the pressure brought about by the great dragon sword soul. Only now did he know why the black-robed man mocked him mercilessly in the beginning. Even a venerable one would not be able to get close to this aura. If it were not for the fact that he had the great dragon sword intent that came from the same source as the great dragon sword soul, the aura of the great dragon sword soul would probably be able to kill him. As expected of the great dragon sword soul. It's so terrifying. What shocked him even more was that the black-robed man's cultivation was definitely above the Venerable One realm. Those with a cultivation above the Venerable One realm in the Black Dragon sect would definitely have a terrifying identity. On the other side, the black-robed man was even more shocked. Lin Xian could actually reach the 30-meter mark at the same time as him. This was something he had never expected. He looked at Lin Xian with a piercing killing intent in his eyes. If there was a chance, he would quickly attack without mercy. Not only was this person a great threat to him, but he was also a huge hidden danger to the entire Black Dragon sect. Thinking of this, he stretched out his palm. His originally white palm glowed as countless tiny black scales appeared and instantly covered his entire palm. The scales were black and filled with a metallic luster. They emitted an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Rays of bright light appeared on the black-robed man's 5 fingers. The light rolled and turned into 5 ferocious small dragons that roared at the sky. A deep dragon roar sounded and shook the entire space. The great dragon sword soul on the array platform began to roll and tremble. Clearly, the black-robed man could also cause the great dragon sword soul to tremble. This is true dragon chi. Lin Xian was astonished. He stared closely at the palm and carefully examined it. In the end, he confirmed that it was the chi of a true dragon. As far as he knew, true dragon chi was buried deep in the earth's dragon veins and could not be found in ordinary places. In the entire Tianan region, true dragon chi could only be found in the ancient Azure Dragon City. Moreover, the true dragon chi was very special. Only the top 72 true dragon geniuses could be nourished and protected by it. However, that was only for a short period of time. After leaving the super arena, the true dragon chi would disappear. As for others, including supremacies, they could not use the true dragon chi, let alone bring it out of the ancient Azure Dragon City. Lin Xian had the great dragon sword intent and the sword of devouring. That was why he could bring the true dragon chi out. However, he did not expect that the black-robed man would also have true dragon chi in his hands. These must have been collected at the Azure Dragon Gathering. Lin Xian was shocked. His opponent had indeed made sufficient preparations. The black-robed man waved his hand and the true dragon chi intertwined to form a dragon-shaped claw. He grabbed forward and tore the invisible resistance apart. Soon he was 90 feet away. The true dragon chi was indeed extraordinary. Even with his extraordinary status and strength, he could not fully comprehend the mysteries within. However, this did not affect his use of it. The black-robed man looked at Lin Xian with anger burning in his heart. These 5 strands of true dragon chi were extremely precious. He had spent a lot of time and effort to bring them out of the ancient Azure Dragon City. If a cultivator could comprehend and absorb this true dragon chi, their strength would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. If not for the great dragon sword soul, he would not have wasted such precious true dragon chi. Moreover, in his plan he would obtain more true dragon chi in this Azure Dragon Gathering. This way he would be able to obtain the great dragon sword soul faster. However, all of this was ruined by Lin Xian. Thinking of this, he attacked even more fiercely. Looking at the dragon-shaped claw, Lin Xian was surprised. So the true dragon chi had such a use. Chapter 535. The speed of breaking through the restriction was definitely faster than his great dragon sword intent. In fact, this was very normal, but Lin Xian didn't know. The Great Dragon Sword seal was just a simple seal, and its power was less than 1/10,000th of the Great Dragon Sword. However, the true dragon chi was different. It was formed by the earth's spiritual veins for thousands of years, and it was extremely mysterious and had endless uses. Therefore, the power of the true dragon chi had already surpassed Lin Xian's Great Dragon Sword intent. However, Lin Xian was not worried about this. Competing with him in terms of true dragon chi was courting death, because no one could get more than he did. When he first came to the lost place, he took away an entire 5-colored battle suit's true dragon chi. The true dragon chi in the battle suit had already reached 10 feet, and the 5 true dragon chi in the black-robed man's hand added up to only 10 feet. It was not even 1/10 of Lin Xian's. Lin Xian sneered and his fingers slid to the storage bag at his waist. The black-robed man was furious. An ant dared to laugh at him. He was simply tired of living. He decided that when he got the Great Dragon Sword soul, he must pull out Lin Xian's soul and skin him alive. However, in the next moment he was stunned, and his pupils instantly shrank into the shape of a needle. He saw Lin Xian take out a 5-colored battle suit from the storage bag and quickly put it on. On the battle suit, there was a 10-foot-long true dragon chi, which transformed into the appearance of a true dragon, roaring ferociously. The Great Dragon Sword soul in the array platform was struggling, as if it wanted to break through the sky, and the vibration was dozens of times stronger than before. How is it possible? How can this kid have so much true dragon chi? Could he be an old monster's transformation? The black-robed man was shocked. He couldn't help but be surprised. After all, it took him nearly 10 years to bring out the true dragon chi that was more than 10 feet long. However, Lin Xian actually had a 10-foot-long true dragon chi which was 10 times more than his. If someone said that he was not an old monster's transformation, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. Who are you? The black-robed man's voice was dignified. Why are you afraid? Lin Xian sneered. If you're afraid, then get lost. The black-robed man had already revealed his killing intent, so he naturally wouldn't give him a good face. As for the Great Dragon Sword soul, he wouldn't give it to him. Brat, you're courting death. The black-robed man angrily roared. Now he was sure that Lin Xian wasn't some old monster. Instead, he had used some unknown method to obtain the true dragon chi from the Azure Dragon Assembly. Even so, he was still shocked and angry. He had not felt this feeling for hundreds of years. The 30-meter-long true dragon chi was definitely faster than him. If this continued, he would not be able to obtain the Great Dragon Sword soul. The black-robed man's true swords. The black-robed man is not long after, he arrived in front of the array platform. That, the dragon, this dragon, as of longt, as of suv. Then, a wicked smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Lowly human, so what if you have the true dragon sword soul? The dragon's is destined to be mine. The black-robed man was no longer angry. Instead, he calmed himself down and began to move forward steadily. His actions were full of confidence, as if the dragon's sword soul was destined to be his. Lin Xian was secretly wary of the black-robed man's abnormal behavior. Based on his opponent's character and the importance of the dragon's sword soul, the black-robed man wouldn't give it up so easily. Now that he was doing this, he should have some backup plan. However, Lin Xian didn't find any danger after careful inspection, so he could only move forward quickly. The true dragon swords, true swords, was like a roaring true dragon, spiraling forward. The closer he got to the dragon's sword soul, the more shocked Lin Xian became. In the end, his dragon's sword will turned into a dragon-shaped sword chi roaring toward the sky. Behind him, the black-robed man used the true dragon swords, true swords, true swords, true swords, true swords strength to follow closely behind. Finally, Lin Xian came to the front of the altar. Looking at the dragon's sword soul, he was extremely excited. The black-robed man came to a distance of about 30 feet. He stared at Lin Xian's back, and black flames suddenly appeared in his eyes, pulsating. It was like the fire of hell, gloomy and dark. Just as Lin Xian was about to collect the dragon sword soul, the black dragon's flame in his body suddenly pulsated violently, as if it was out of control. In an instant, the black flames covered his entire body, burning fiercely. If it wasn't for the true dragon swords, true sword, Lin Xian would have been burned to ashes. Lin Xian was shocked. He felt the violent power of the black dragon's flame, and his face became extremely ugly. Oh no, the black dragon's flame is actually devouring me. This was something he didn't expect at all. Although the black dragon's flame came from the outside world, he had completely refined it. Who would have thought that the black dragon flame would go out of control and burn him along with it? He used his true dragon chi to defend himself. At the same time, he suddenly turned around and stared at the black-robed man. The black-robed man had a sinister smile on his face. On his scale-covered palm, there was a ball of black flame dancing around. It was like the fire of the underworld, emitting a strange aura. "Kid, the black dragon flame is not so easy to subdue." The black-robed man sneered. "Now, let me show you the true might of the black dragon flame." After saying that, he suddenly clenched his fist, and the black dragon flame quickly rose and rolled in the air. Then, the black dragon flames on the surface of Lin Xian's body seemed to be stimulated, burning madly. Black flames blossomed like flowers of the netherworld, and the terrifying heat melted the void. The heat was too terrifying. Perhaps even a venerable one would not be able to withstand it. Lin Xian finally understood why venerable Lord Lung had been tortured by the black dragon flame for almost 100 years. It was too terrifying. This heat had already surpassed his understanding. Even with the true dragon chi protecting his body, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. At the critical moment, he quickly used the sword of devouring, forming black vortexes one after another around him. In the sky, the black vortexes spun rapidly, forming a sucking force that absorbed the black dragon flame on the surface of Lin Xian's body. Behind him, the black-robed man was shocked again. He thought that Lin Xian was dead for sure, but he didn't expect him to have a trump card that could dissolve his black dragon flame. One had to know that even a venerable one couldn't do anything against the black dragon flame. Yet, a kid in the spirit-detecting state had a way to dissolve it. This was indeed shocking. However, he was determined to kill Lin Xian and obtain the great dragon sword soul at the same time. Therefore, in the next moment he attacked with all his might. Both of his arms were covered in black scales that had a gloomy metallic luster. On those scales, endless black dragon flame burned. Chapter 536. Destroy. Lin Xian roared as he activated the devouring sword with all his might. He was furious. Not only did the man want to kill him, but he also wanted to use him to obtain the great dragon sword soul. He would not let the black-robed man succeed. Furthermore, this time he was determined to completely remove the black dragon flame from his body. The black dragon flame was powerful and had helped him defeat many strong enemies. However, the flame was not formed naturally. He seemed to have completely refined it, but there were hidden dangers. Now that he had met the black-robed man, the problem was exposed. Therefore, the black dragon flame could not stay in his body any longer. Moreover, he could vaguely guess the black-robed man's identity. To be able to control the black dragon flame like this, he must be the owner of the black dragon flame. In the black dragon sect, only one person had the black dragon flame, and that was the sect leader. Rumor had it that he was not a human but a black dragon. He was born with a strange flame. Lin Xian did not expect that his opponent for the great dragon sword soul would be the sect leader of the black dragon sect. The sect leader was an extremely mysterious and powerful figure. Hundreds of years ago, he had led the Black Dragon sect to occupy half of the Tianan region. Even the Martial Alliance was no match for him. Such a powerful sect leader had surpassed the honorable realm and reached an even higher realm. Lin Xian was about to face such a terrifying figure. However, this was a special place. He could not attack directly. Even if his opponent was the sect leader of the Black Dragon sect, it would not be easy to take his life. Strong soul power gushed out. Lin Xian activated the devouring sword with all his might, and a pitch-black sword appeared in front of him. Whirlpools appeared on the sword and spun rapidly as if they were going to suck in one's soul. The black dragon flame on Lin Xian's body suddenly flourished and intertwined into a large black hand that grabbed the great dragon sword soul. Just as the large black hand was about to touch the great dragon sword soul, a pitch-black sword appeared in front of Lin Xian. It was covered with whirlpools that spun wildly. A strange power of sucking quickly formed and absorbed the black dragon flame to form a large flaming hand. Looking at the pitch-black sword, the black-robed man's pupils shrank. For some reason he felt a tremor coming from his soul. Soon he turned his head and didn't dare to look anymore because he realized that if he continued to look, his soul would very likely be sucked in. What sword is this? So strange. The black-robed man was shocked. His cultivation was extraordinary, and he had been running amok in the southern heaven region. He had never encountered such a strange thing before. Yet, a young boy actually had such a strange item on him. He even felt that the pitch-black sword was not inferior to the great dragon sword. As soon as he thought of this, he was shocked. Then, the black-robed man quickly shook his head and got rid of this thought. The origin of the great dragon sword was extraordinary. Legend had it that it was the sword with the strongest attack in the world. He had also discovered this from the ancient books of his clan. Otherwise, he would not have known that there was such an offensive saint technique in the world. Although the black longsword was strange, it couldn't be compared to the great dragon sword. However, in the next moment, the black-robed man's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. After the black vortex sword appeared, the flaming palm formed by the black dragon's flames quickly disappeared, completely devoured. However, the great dragon sword's soul crazily churned, forming a dragon-shaped longsword. An incomparably violent aura gushed out from the sword tip, resembling a true dragon, malevolently roaring, tearing apart the heavens. The aura was so strong that it could almost destroy everything. Lin Xian bore the brunt of the attack. However, he had the great dragon sword intent, which came from the same source as the great dragon sword soul, so he would not be attacked. However, the black-robed man was different. He was only about 10 meters away from the great dragon sword soul, and the aura made his heart tremble. It was as if thousands of swords had slashed his body, tearing him apart. In an instant, his forehead and back were covered in cold sweat. It was as if his entire body had been soaked in cold water. What shocked him even more was that facing the great dragon sword soul, an uncontrollable fear and trembling arose in his heart. This kind of thing had never happened to him before. How is this possible? The great dragon sword soul has been activated. The black-robed man was horrified and his body trembled slightly. In his current state, it was no longer a matter of whether he could seize the great dragon sword or not. He was afraid that a trace of the great dragon sword soul's aura would be enough to kill him. Damn it, how can the great dragon sword soul be activated? The black-robed man's face was ferocious. He wanted to retreat, but he found that his body seemed to be fixed and he couldn't control it at all. According to what he had learned from the ancient books, the great dragon sword soul had always been in a state of hibernation. It could only be awakened under extremely special circumstances. However, the probability of this happening was very small, and it was almost impossible. This was also the reason why the black-robed man dared to seize the great dragon sword soul. However, he didn't expect that the great dragon sword soul would awaken now. Could it be because of that sword? The black-robed man was shocked and he looked up. In the void, the great dragon sword soul had formed a dragon-shaped longsword, and it emitted an endless berserk aura. On the opposite side, there was a pitch-black sword with countless vortexes vibrating on it. It was incomparably strange. That pitch-black sword was not afraid of the great dragon sword soul at all, and it was resisting with great force. The black-robed man was stunned. This was beyond his understanding. Lin Xian was also shocked. He didn't expect this to happen. Now, the devouring sword was completely out of his control. Although the situation was bad, it could be considered a good thing for him. However, his soul force would probably be sucked dry by the devouring sword. In the void, the great dragon sword soul and the devouring sword faced each other, and then an endless light erupted. A huge phantom of a true dragon appeared, filling the entire space with a terrifying aura. On the other side, the devouring sword spun, forming countless terrifying black holes that quickly spread across the entire sky as if it was going to devour the heavens. Wine Lord, what should we do? Lin Xian asked through voice transmission. What will happen when two of the 5 swords of the world meet? I'm really looking forward to it. Wine Lord's voice had a trace of excitement. Lin Xian's face fell and the corner of his mouth twitched. It seemed that Wine Lord wouldn't make a move. Then he looked up at the sky. Boundless darkness spread, and the devouring sword operated crazily, as if it was going to devour the true dragon sword soul. The true dragon sword soul roared ferociously, and it turned into a shocking sword chi that slashed in all directions. The two forces collided and a destructive aura was produced. It spread rapidly and then surged upward. The surrounding restrictions were broken, and the mysterious palace was penetrated. A sword chi and a boundless black hole quickly rushed into the sky. In the outside world around the White Bone Mountain, 8 indigenous martial artists were using all their spiritual power to form a formation to suppress the area below. The huge starlight formation shone, emitting a terrifying aura, and a dazzling light fell down. The ground cracked and cracks thousands of meters long spread out in all directions. At this moment, half of the peerless beast that was suppressed had already broken out of the ground. A beast claw like a huge mountain crushed an area. It was covered in scales, and it shone brightly as it resisted the starlight formation. Every strike caused countless cracks to appear in the void, and it was terrifying. Chapter 537. Hold on. The elder shouted. This beast has been suppressed for thousands of years and has lost a lot of its power. As long as we persevere, we will be able to suppress it. Everyone nodded and regained their confidence. They quickly used their spiritual power. At this moment, the lost shrine behind them suddenly shook, and the entire White Bone Mountain shook. What happened? The 8 ancient martial artists were terrified. Especially that elder at the Exalt realm. He had an astounded expression as if he'd seen a ghost. He knew about the mysteries of the lost shrine. It was impossible for something like this to happen. Could it be the influence of that thief from the outside world? The young man in the beast robe asked. However, before they could finish guessing, the top of the lost shrine exploded, and 2 terrifying forces shot up into the sky. One was like a real dragon, which was extremely terrifying, as if it was going to tear the heavens and earth apart. On the other side was boundless darkness. It was rapidly devouring, able to devour the entire sky. The 2 forces were so powerful that they instantly crushed the 8 ancient martial artists. They were lying on the ground, unable to move. At this moment, everyone in the lost place looked up at the sky in shock. They were shocked and crazy, and all of them wanted to rush over. However, the next moment, the mighty force in the sky pressed everyone down, making them unable to move. Near the White Bone Mountain, the 8 ancient martial artists were suppressed, and the starlight formation instantly dimmed. The ferocious beast below seemed to have sensed something, and it suddenly attacked. Its huge claws and long tail attacked quickly. Crack! The starlight formation was shattered like a broken mirror, and it fell to the ground. The ground shook as if there was an earthquake. A huge creature rushed out from the ground, and its roar shook the surroundings. The black figure shuttled back and forth, and as soon as it appeared, it crushed the surrounding mountains and trees. Ha! I am finally out. An extremely arrogant voice resounded in the sky. The 8 ancient martial artists were shocked. They raised their heads with difficulty and looked at the huge black figure. They were so shocked that they could not speak. This ferocious beast could speak human language? Moreover, this ferocious beast looked like a dragon. The 8 ancient martial artists of the lost place were stunned. The ferocious beast that they were suppressing was a dragon. Dragons were extremely special creatures, and many ancient martial artists worshipped them as totems. Furthermore, dragons were extremely powerful creatures and were known as divine beasts. They were not something that ordinary beasts could compare to. As for the 8 natives, they were only following the last words passed down in their clan. They were to guard the ferocious beast below the White Bone Mountain. However, they never thought that the ferocious beast would be a dragon. Moreover, it was an incomparably powerful dragon. This dragon's entire body was red, and its body was 1,000 feet long. As it coiled in the air, it cast a huge shadow. At this time, the dragon did not pay attention to the 8 indigenous warriors, but looked at the lost temple on the White Bone Mountain. The great dragon sword soul has awakened. Could it be that those people have returned? That's not right. It's not them. There's actually someone who can contend against the great dragon sword soul. The dark red dragon looked up at the sky, revealing a look of surprise. I don't care anymore. Now that I've escaped, I must take down the great dragon sword soul. At that time, I'll be free to roam the heavens and the earth. Let's see who dares to stop me. After saying that, the huge dragon claw reached out and grabbed at the temple. There's actually someone. The dark red dragon was surprised. With a wave of its claw, it grabbed out 2 figures from the lost temple. Within the lost temple, Lin Xian's face was pale. He constantly swallowed pills to quickly recover his consumed soul force. Behind him, the black-robed man's face was fierce. He revolved all the strength in his body to resist the berserk aura around him. However, this strength was too great. It was not something he could withstand. He felt his body deform bit by bit, and it wouldn't be long before his body completely split apart and turned into a bloody mist. No, I won't die. The black-robed man roared. As the leader of the Black Dragon cult, his strength was extraordinary. He had never encountered such a predicament before. The black-robed man raised his head with difficulty and looked at Lin Xian's back, revealing a thick killing intent. He could not understand why Lin Xian was fine. It had to be known that even he could not withstand this pressure, but this little spirit-detecting thief was actually safe and sound. This was too strange. His anger and unwillingness were followed by a thick sense of despair. Just as he felt that he was about to die, an inexplicable strength suddenly supported his body and pulled him out of the lost temple. At the same time, Lin Xian was also left. In an instant, Lin Xian and the black-robed man left the lost temple and arrived at the foot of the White Bone Mountain. What happened? The black-robed man was shocked. He did not expect that he could survive such a situation. Then he let out a sigh of relief and looked around. But in the next moment, his heart beat wildly and he was stunned on the spot. In front of him was a huge creature circling, filling the entire sky. A huge shadow shrouded him. Dragon. The black-robed man's pupils shrank. Lin Xian was also shocked. This was that peerless beast. It was actually a dragon. He was extremely shocked. He had always thought that dragons were only creatures of legends. He did not expect to see one here. In front of this beast he felt like he could not breathe. TCH, it's actually 2 insects. You made this emperor happy for nothing. The huge dragon head spoke in human language with a disdainful expression. Lin Xian was stunned. This dragon could speak? The black-robed man's body trembled. He asked in a trembling voice, "Senior, which race are you from?" Although he was the leader of the Black Dragon sect and had extraordinary strength, in front of this dragon he was as weak as a baby. He did not dare to be disrespectful at all. "Which race?" The dragon snorted. "Why, do you want to claim kinship with this emperor?" "I wouldn't dare. It's just that I'm from the Black Dragon race. Now that I've met Senior, I'm really surprised." The black-robed man bowed and said, "Black Dragon race?" The dragon was disdainful. Then it shouted coldly, "You're just a little flood dragon. How dare you call yourself a dragon? This emperor thinks that you're tired of living." This voice was like thunder, exploding in the surroundings. The black-robed man retreated continuously and finally sat on the ground. He was extremely shocked and furious. His black dragon race was a natural variant. They were high and mighty existences. When had he ever been ridiculed like this? If it was in the past, he would have killed the other party with a palm strike. But now, facing this huge dragon, although he was unwilling, he was helpless. He could only grit his teeth. At the same time, what shocked him even more was the dragon's strength. As the leader of the Black Dragon sect, his strength had long since surpassed the Venerable Realm and reached the Half-Step King realm. It was difficult for him to find a match in the Southern Heaven region. However, the dragon's voice was able to injure him. This strength was too terrifying. Perhaps even King Realm experts could not do this. He did not dare to imagine what realm this dragon had reached. However, he knew that he had no room to resist in front of this dragon. The dragon could probably kill him with a raise of its hand. Lin Xian stood at the side. He was also shocked. He did not expect that the Dragon Sword Soul would cause so many things to happen. First, the mysterious leader of the Black Dragon sect fought with him. Now, an even more powerful dragon had appeared. A single roar could injure the leader of the Black Dragon sect. Chapter 538. The dark red dragon glanced at Lin Xian and then ignored him. It no longer paid any attention to him and looked up at the sky. It couldn't be helped. Lin Xian was only at the early stage of the spirit-detecting realm, and he was the weakest among them. In the eyes of the dragon, Lin Xian was probably no different from an ant. "Wait until I obtain the Dragon Sword Soul, then I'll roast all of you." The dark red dragon roared and clawed at the Dragon Sword Soul in the sky. The huge dragon claw covered the sky and instantly tore the void apart. A vast pressure covered the entire sky. In an instant, the huge dragon claw arrived before the Dragon Sword Soul and clawed down. The Dragon Sword Soul roared and then transformed into a true dragon that roared at the sky. "Damn it! If you were a true dragon, then I wouldn't dare to attack you. But you're just a sword soul now and you dare to attack me? Be obedient and fuse with me." The dark red dragon sneered and then soared into the sky, its huge body stirring up the wind and clouds. As the dark red dragon joined the battle, the huge black vortex in the sky quickly shrunk and transformed into a pitch-black sword that stood in the sky. In the next moment it also disappeared. Below, Lin Xian's body shook. He knew that the Devour Sword Soul had returned to his body. He didn't act rashly. Instead, he carefully observed the surroundings, especially the Black Dragon Cult sect master. If the Black Dragon Cult suddenly attacked, he would have to flee immediately. Looking at the intense energy fluctuations in the sky, the black-robed young man's face was gloomy. Then he stared at Lin Xian with boundless killing intent in his eyes. "It's all because of this damnable brat who obstructed my plan. Otherwise, I would have obtained the Dragon Sword Soul long ago and wouldn't have so many problems." Thinking of this, he snorted coldly. A ball of black dragon flames appeared on his palm, and he quickly swung it out. This place was different from the Lost Shrine. There were no invisible restrictions here. With his half-step King Realm cultivation, he could kill Lin Xian with a raise of his hand. Lin Xian was shocked, and all the hair on his body stood on end. He used the Devour Sword with all his strength and prepared to flee. However, a ray of light was even faster than him. It flew from the sky and collided with the ball of black flames, causing it to dissipate. Then the black-robed man continuously retreated. His body trembled, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. At this moment, a cold voice sounded out in the sky, "Only I can touch my food. Anyone else who dares to touch it will die. So, you'd better wait obediently for me to barbecue you." The black-robed man's attack was interrupted by the giant dragon's move, and his expression immediately became extremely ugly. To think that he, the dignified leader of the Black Dragon cult, did not even have the chance to fight back in front of this giant dragon. It was truly humiliating. Seeing that his attack had failed, he didn't dare to act rashly again. He just stared at Lin Xian with a gloomy expression. His devouring sword solace est. If he had the chance, he would do it without hesitation. Suppressing the rage in his heart, Lin Xian calmed down. The most important thing now was to obtain the Dragon Sword Soul. "Little Shenzi, don't worry. This Dragon Sword Soul needs power to suppress it after it awakens. Once that stupid dragon suppresses it, I have a way to let you obtain the Dragon Sword Soul," Lord Alcohol said via voice transmission. With Wine Lord's assurance, Lin Xian was finally at ease. He started to consume various spirit wines to adjust his condition to its peak. In the sky, the dark red dragon and the terrifying Dragon Sword Soul collided. Every strike was capable of tearing through space. The sky was filled with cracks. The cracks were terrifying, and it was a shocking sight. Since no one was controlling the Dragon Sword Soul and it had awakened passively, it quickly dimmed without the stimulation of the Devour Sword. The dark red dragon laughed madly and quickly struck out with a vast amount of energy to seal the surrounding space. Without the stimulation of external energy, the Dragon Sword Soul fell into a deep slumber. The dark red dragon roared at the sky, and its huge claws enveloped the Dragon Sword Soul. "Ha ha, the Dragon Sword Soul was obtained by me in the end. Let's see who dares to stop me in the future." The dark red dragon roared and yelled arrogantly. "Disich, what a stupid dragon." Lin Xian suddenly curled his lips and laughed. His voice wasn't loud, but it was like a sudden clap of thunder, stunning everyone. Was this guy alright? He actually dared to provoke the dragon at this time? Even the black-robed man's eyelids were twitching wildly. What was Lin Xian doing? The 8 native martial artists were even more stunned, and they stared blankly at Lin Xian. The young man in beastly clothes sneered. He felt that Lin Xian's actions were undoubtedly courting death. Sure enough, Lin Xian's words caused the gigantic dragon's laughter to abruptly stop. The huge head turned, and it was like a shooting star enveloping the sky. The dark red eyes released 2 rays of divine light, and they instantly locked onto Lin Xian. In an instant, everyone felt as if they had been pierced through. Lin Xian's heart was also beating wildly. Under this gaze, he felt as if all his secrets had been seen through. Fortunately, he had also experienced countless big scenes, so he was able to maintain his composure. "Kid, how dare you talk to me like that? Are you not afraid of death?" Lin Xian sneered and then said, according to what Wine Lord had secretly taught him, "You don't believe me when I say you're stupid. How can the Dragon Sword Soul be so easy to fuse?" The dark red dragon's huge head turned, and then a loud voice sounded, "You little worm, do you know how to fuse? You look only 17 or 18 years old. You probably don't even know what the Dragon Sword Soul is, right? Kid, you'd better wait obediently for me to roast you. Otherwise, if you anger me, I'll eat you alive." Obviously, the dark red dragon didn't believe Lin Xian's words at all. However, Lin Xian's expression was calm, and he slowly said, "The Dragon Sword Soul is one of the 5 swords in the world. It was formed from the origin of the Dragon Sword, and it's an offensive sacred art. Although you're from the Eastern Divine Dragon clan, with your current situation, it's impossible for you to fuse with the Dragon Sword Soul. Unless you want to explode and die." Hearing this, the huge dragon snorted, and 2 rays of dragon breath shot out from its nostrils, piercing through the void. "Little worm, I've underestimated you. You actually know where I came from?" The dark red dragon was surprised. The 8 natives beside it were also shocked. They only knew that the dark red dragon was very powerful, but they didn't know anything else. Even the black-robed man didn't know. He looked at Lin Xian in confusion, and the killing intent in his heart grew stronger. This young man was too mysterious. Not only could he come here to find the dragon sword, but he also knew many things that he didn't know. This kind of enemy must be eliminated. The dark red dragon's eyes turned and he asked, "Then tell me, what method do you have?" "There is a method, but you have to agree to one of my conditions first." "You dare to negotiate with me?" The dark red dragon laughed. "Fine. I'll listen to what you have to say, little worm. It's very simple. Help me kill him." Lin Xian pointed at the black-robed man. "With your strength it should be a piece of cake." Chapter 539. How dare this brat try to kill me? How despicable. Then he looked at the red dragon worriedly, afraid that it would attack. The young man in the beast robe was even more terrified. He quickly curled up and shivered. He had tried to kill Lin Xian before and was now afraid of revenge. The red dragon laughed. "Little worm, I know you two have a grudge, but it's impossible for you to use me to kill him. I won't be used by others." Lin Xian sighed. The other party was not so easy to fool. "Little worm, do you have any other requests?" "Ask for something else," the red dragon said. Hearing this, the black-robed man breathed a sigh of relief. Then he glared at Lin Xian with endless murderous intent in his eyes. "Forget it, let them disappear. I don't think you want so many people to know the secret of the dragon sword soul," Lin Xian said slowly. "That's right. Let them disappear then." The red dragon turned its head and revealed a sinister smile. The black-robed man's heart raced. He sensed the dragon's gaze and instantly turned into a black flame and fled into the distance. However, the next moment, the red dragon snorted coldly. 2 rays of divine light shot out from its eyes and shot the black-robed man down. Roar! The black-robed man's body trembled and flew backward. He did not want to fall behind. Black flames rose from his body. His black robe was destroyed and his body grew rapidly. In an instant, he turned into a black dragon that was 100 feet long. He roared at the sky, looking ferocious and terrifying. Boom! The black flames around him surged into the sky. The black dragon circled in the air, emitting a powerful aura. "Stop roaring. You're too weak," the red dragon said disdainfully. "Seeing that you still have a trace of the dragon's bloodline, I won't kill you today. Get out of my sight." Then the giant red dragon claw grabbed the black dragon in its hand. The black dragon struggled with all its might, but it was useless. The dark red dragon's eyes shone brightly. It pierced through the void and tore a terrifying black crack in the sky. Then the dark red dragon threw the black dragon into the crack. In the next moment, the spatial rift healed and the sky became clear again. "All right, I've sent one away." The colossal dragon turned its head and stared at the 8 indigenous beings on the ground. Suddenly, the 8 martial artists trembled like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. "Forget it. I'm in a good mood today. I don't want to kill anyone. Scram." Then he snorted coldly. 2 streams of dragon's breath were like heavenly pillars, blasting in all directions. In an instant, the 8 martial artists were blown away and disappeared into the horizon. Finally, the giant head stared at Lin Xian. "Little reptile, I've already done what you said. Now, hurry up and tell me the secret of the great dragon sword spirit." The dark red dragon god's voice was cold. "Don't try any tricks. Otherwise, I have hundreds of ways to make you regret being born into this world." "Honorable Sir Dragon God, don't worry, I will never lie to you." Lin Xian smiled. "I don't think you would dare to." The dark red dragon snorted and extended its dragon claw. "Come on up." Lin Xian jumped up, raised his dragon claw, and moved to the dark red dragon's head. "Okay, now tell me." Lin Xian smiled. "Come closer. You have to be careful." The giant dragon did not believe that Lin Xian would trick him. He lowered his head and slowly moved closer. In the next moment, a black long sword appeared in front of Lin Xian. A vigorous and powerful hand reached out and pressed between the dark red dragon's eyebrows. Buzz! The air vibrated, and a devouring force that shook heaven and earth appeared. "Damn reptile, what have you done?" the dark red dragon roared. He extended his dragon claw, wanting to crush Lin Xian. However, the devouring sword was too terrifying. It frantically absorbed the energy in the dark red dragon's body. The sharp shroud was only halfway up when it slowly fell down. "Kid, how dare you devour my power? You're overestimating yourself. Be careful not to explode." At first, the dark red dragon was still roaring, but it was not long before he screamed. That was because the devouring force was getting stronger and stronger. It was like a bottomless pit, madly devouring. No, my power. The dark red dragon screamed. Damn it, stop. Let's talk. I'll agree to whatever conditions you have. However, Lin Xian did not respond. He only floated silently and looked at everything coldly. In front of him, the vigorous and powerful hand in the devouring sword was unusually steady. It did not change because of the dark red dragon's words. The dark red dragon roared, and instantly the mountains within 10,000 miles were shattered. Damn reptile, die together with me if you dare. I won't let you have your way. The dark red dragon was furious. However, in the next moment he began to tremble. No, my dragon essence. You can actually devour my dragon essence. The dark red dragon was afraid. Dragon essence was the foundation of his body. It was his purest energy. It was equivalent to a martial artist's blood essence. If it was gone, his vitality would be greatly damaged. I was wrong. You're the boss. Let me go. The dark red dragon began to beg for mercy. I don't want the dragon sword soul anymore. I'll give it to you. However, the devouring force was still going on. This sword, could it be? The dark red dragon was shocked. He seemed to have thought of a legend. Damn it, I was wrong this time. The dark red dragon cursed. Then he slowly closed his eyes and fainted. His body also gradually shrank from 10,000 feet to 100 feet, and finally to a meter long. With a plop, the dark red dragon, oh no, the small snake fell to the ground. The devouring sword slowly floated. The vigorous hand quickly retracted, and then a hearty voice sounded. This stupid dragon's dragon essence is not bad. It actually helped me recover some of my strength. Wine Lord's voice sounded. Little Xian, get ready. Now start fusing with the dragon sword soul. Hearing this, Lin Xian's body shook. He adjusted himself to peak condition and then nodded seriously. In the next moment, the devouring sword surged and formed black vortexes around them. They quickly formed a mysterious and strange formation. The array formation was complex and profound, making one feel dizzy just by looking at it. Lin Xian stood in the middle of it. He took the white dragon soaring pill and put on the 5 colors battle robe. Then he activated the dragon sword will and communicated with the dragon sword soul. Buzz. The dragon sword soul was guided and landed on Lin Xian's body. It quickly entered his body. Lin Xian's body shook and a trace of pain appeared on his face. Around him, countless vortexes spun and absorbed the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. They formed a strange formation on Lin Xian's body. Little Xian, this is all I can do for you. As for whether you can fuse with the dragon sword soul, it will depend on your luck. Wine Lord's voice was serious. Then the devouring sword rushed to the sky and emitted a terrifying aura. Once again the entire Lost Land was intimidated. In the Lost Land, the trial warriors were once again pressed to the ground and could not move. Many of them were stunned and their bodies trembled. This time the aura was even more terrifying than before. Oh my God, what happened? Why is there such a terrifying aura? Mother, I will never come to the Lost Land again. Many warriors screamed, but even more warriors looked at the distant sky in horror. Chapter 540. The area around the White Bone Mountain was completely enveloped by a huge black hole. It was dark and eerie. Gradually, the terrifying pressure in the Lost Land dissipated. Everyone started to move around again and heaved a sigh of relief. However, the area around the White Bone Mountain had become a forbidden area. There was once a bold warrior who wanted to check it out, but he was instantly sucked into the black hole. No one knew if he was dead or alive. From then on, no warrior dared to go near the White Bone Mountain. Even the powerful beasts in the forest did not dare to wander around. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Other than the White Bone Mountain that was still enveloped by the black hole, everyone else started to search for all kinds of treasures. Gradually 2 months passed. The people from the 3 six-star sects were puzzled. In the past, they would always see traces of Soul's Word beasts in the Lost Land. They would even bring back 1 or 2 of them every time. However, this time, other than a few appearances in the beginning, the Soul's Word beasts did not appear at all in the next few months. It was as if they had disappeared. Yu Qingqing, Yi Linyun, and the others were puzzled. They looked at the huge black hole in the distance and wondered if it had anything to do with the strange change. However, they had already decided to report to their sects immediately once they went out. Such a big change in the Lost Land this time would probably have a big impact. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Near the White Bone Mountain, in the huge black hole, Lin Xian's body was wrapped in a ball of light. At this moment he had already merged with the great dragon sword soul and reached the final stage. At first he was almost blown up by the powerful force of the great dragon sword soul. He felt as if his entire body was about to split open. The pain came not only from his body but also from his soul. Ordinary people could not bear it at all. Perhaps even supremacies could not bear such pain. Once the soul could not bear it and fainted, the fusion would fail. However, Lin Xian gritted his teeth and persevered. For 3 whole months, his soul seemed to have gone through hell and suffered all kinds of pain. Finally, he had reached the final stage of the fusion with the great dragon sword soul. Another half a month passed. Lin Xian opened his eyes. Stars flickered in his eyes and they were incomparably deep. At this moment he was like a peerless divine sword. His spirit was extremely sharp. In the next moment, a surge of sword intent burst out from his body, forming a huge sword chi that was like a heavenly pillar that connected the heavens and the earth. In an instant, a huge vortex of spiritual energy appeared in the sky. Like a funnel, the surrounding spiritual energy madly gathered and entered Lin Xian's body. The boundless black hole also gradually shrank and quickly disappeared. In the next moment, the entire lost land could feel the sharp sword essence. Many martial artists trembled as they looked at the sky in horror. They felt as if there was a peerless divine sword hanging in the sky, as if it would fall at any moment. Especially the disciples of the divine sword sect, they were even more shocked. This kind of sword intent made their souls tremble. How terrifying. Why do I feel like I'm facing an elder of the sect? What a joke. Even the elders don't have such a terrifying sword intent. I'm afraid that only Jianghu can give us this kind of aura. Heavens, could it be that the sect leader has descended? How is that possible? There are restrictions in the Lost Lands. The clan leader can't enter at all. It is very likely that he is an indigenous expert. This is too shocking. Let's hurry up and leave. Yi Linyun frowned. He felt the sword essence and his heart beat wildly. What a powerful sword essence. Who could it be? He felt powerless to resist. Soon they felt the changes in the White Bone Mountain. Look, the sword essence is coming from the White Bone Mountain. What a powerful vortex of spiritual energy. Could it be that someone is breaking through? That huge black hole disappeared. Should we go and take a look? In an instant, all the martial artists couldn't stay calm and decided to go and take a look. After all, the scene was too terrifying, especially the shocking sword essence. Moreover, the terrifying black hole had disappeared. There shouldn't be any danger. That was why everyone dared to go. After absorbing a large amount of spiritual energy into his body, Lin Xian activated the art of longevity and converted it into his own spiritual energy. Then an even more powerful aura burst out from his body. Whoosh whoosh. Middle stage of the spirit detecting realm. Success. Lin Xian was overjoyed. This time, not only did he integrate the great dragon sword soul, but his cultivation had also increased. This risk was worth it. In the sky, the sword of devouring slowly descended. Wine Lord's voice came from it. With the great dragon sword soul, you also have the qualifications to walk to the peak of martial arts. But remember, you can't be careless on the path of martial arts. I know. Lin Xian nodded and smiled. Now that you have the great dragon sword soul, I'm afraid it will be difficult to accommodate the sword of devouring. However, the great dragon sword soul is an offensive saint art. As long as you can master it, you will definitely be able to conquer the world. Lin Xian nodded to show that he understood. The great dragon sword soul was now his greatest trump card and also his greatest barrier. With the great dragon sword soul, his attack power and strength had increased greatly. It was a world of difference from before. Wine Lord, can't the 5 swords of the world coexist? Lin Xian asked doubtfully. Each of the 5 swords of the world is the ultimate embodiment of the great Tao. It is very difficult to integrate them. A long time ago, there was a madman who tried to integrate the 5 swords of the world. Did he succeed? Lin Xian asked. Wine Lord sighed. You will know these things in the future. After saying that, the sword of devouring emitted ripples and then disappeared in the air. This emperor is dying from the pain. While Lin Xian and Wine Lord were talking, a scream suddenly came from below. Damn it, how dare you suck my dragon essence? I will beat you to death. The dark red divine dragon cursed and roared angrily. Soon he discovered Lin Xian. It's you, you little worm. How dare you sneak attack me? I will eat you alive. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws, quickly pouncing over. Bam. Lin Xian slapped him and sent him flying. What's going on? An ant can send me flying? This is impossible. The dark red divine dragon was stunned. Who was he? He was from the famous Eastern Divine Dragon clan, and was one of the best among them. Other than a few old monsters in the world, no one else could deal with him. But now he had been sent flying by a little spirit-detecting martial artist with a single slap? Little worm, you are dead. No one can save you if you anger me. The dark red divine dragon roared. But in the next moment he suddenly screamed. What's going on? I don't have a drop of dragon essence left. Boy, what did you do? You sucked all my dragon essence away. My body? No. How did it become so small? The dark red divine dragon was stunned. He found that there was not a trace of dragon essence left in his body. What made him even angrier was that his body, which was originally thousands of feet long, was now less than 10 feet. How was this a divine dragon? This was a small snake. Mother long, I must be dreaming. Please wake me up. Then the dark red divine dragon used his dragon claws to hit his head. It was a very strange scene. Wuji, the snow-white monkey jumped out and landed on Lin Xian's shoulder. Seeing this scene, it held its stomach and laughed, almost falling down. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.